Engage. On screen. On screen.
What the hell is going on?
Engage. I want all the power you can give me.
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
Not good enough, damn it! Not good enough!
Any idea of what it is or where it came from?
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
This is no longer amusing.
They seem normal enough.
I shouldn't be so confident.
Make it so.
I would rather outthink them than outfight them.
I am fully functional.
Engage.
What a handsome race.
On screen. Let's investigate.
Poop pee.
Enlarge and identify.
I shouldn't be so confident.
Engage.
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
I want all the power you can give me.
Strange.
Slow to impulse speed.
Stay calm, everyone.
What the hell is going on? I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
Stay calm, everyone.
Let's investigate. This is no longer amusing. Macro head.
Stay calm, everyone.
Slow to impulse speed.
I would rather outthink them than outfight them.
Engage.
Slow to impulse speed.
Strange.
Slow to impulse speed.
Not good enough, damn it! Not good enough!
Tell me, what have I done to earn your disrespect?
They seem normal enough.
I'm not sure I have a specific recommendation.
I'm Captain Picard. Engage! Move to intercept.
Hello, and welcome to Technobabble al Fresco. Here we go. The magnetic containment field that creates the illusion of my body can be modulated to allow matter to pass through it or be stopped. I may be able to modulate the holographic lungs in the same way, allowing oxygen and carbon dioxide to pass from the lungs to the bloodstream. I'm speaking of Mr. Neelix's lungs in The Phage, Episode 4, Season 1. But you knew that.
Hey, my name's Rachel Antral. I play Commander Non on Star Trek Discovery. Welcome to Timeline Talks.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Coming to you live in Technicolor from the beautiful Hollywood Hills, California. The show where the total retail price of their advice is $0. This is Timeline Talks. Featuring guest stars. The fact of the matter is, oh my, it's stars and garters. Also featuring, more like Command Dips suck, look out, it's Automaton 2000. And now, there's no way he gets this intro right. Here's your host, Captain Idol.
Yes, welcome ladies and gentlemen to another Timelines Talks, and we are very proud to celebrate the almighty month of Doc-Cember, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Stars and Garters, and joined for a special guest, two special guests in fact. We have El Marto has come to join us, and oh my god, it's Robert Picardo himself! Oh my word, when did you join the stream?
I have nothing to say. I wish I would have just turned on my camera live, because when I came on pre-show, Marto and Idol lost their marbles. Just because I'm committed to the bit, all right?
You're committed, all right?
Yeah.
I should be committed.
With that. Yes, and obviously Auto is here as well. But more importantly, Marto, welcome to the stream for the first time, and what a week to join us. How are you, my friend? We've been itching to get you on this show for a while.
Thank you so much for having me. It's I'm doing good. Yeah. It's super cold outside now, but we're going to make it through this another winter.
Another cold winter in Canada, I believe. I mean, I know.
Quebec City.
Oh, excellent. Fantastic. Yes, so this show this week is completely doc-centric. We're going to be talking all things EMH, all things Robert Picardo, with a variety of things to go through the week. For anyone wanting game news and things, we will be doing a bit of that after the awards show, which is next week. So we'll be catching up then on a bit of a longer spiel. So we won't talk about Siren or Sukal this week. We'll catch up on that next week, because if
you want to hear about the 20th objective event coming your way, then by all means just check your in-game inbox.
Spoiler alert, they're going to give you rep rations if you complete missions.
Ooh.
Better get right on it.
Can we get... Okay, Marto, this shout-out's for you. Can you see the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a shout-out for you there from Genos, if you don't mind.
Okay. Genos wants to have a shout-out to the geese in French. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour à toutes les voix. Content de vous voir. There you go.
Oh, my heart's a flutter. Oh, God.
Santé.
Cheers. What are you drinking tonight? What have you got? What is your beverage of choice this evening?
Today I'm having... So there's two major breweries, one in Quebec City, the other in the province of Quebec in general, that met to do a collaboration on this one. It's called La Rencontre, which means the meeting. So there's a polar bear for Boreal, and there's a cat for Noctem. Both are the animals for that represents each of those breweries. So it's fantastic. It tastes like it's tropical pineapple. It's a IPA with citra and
how many pence?
How many what?
How many pence?
Pads?
Oh, he's not on the banjo.
Oh yeah. So every time Idle drinks a beer, he has to announce what pant it is, which I believe is what it's
recycling factor or something.
It's for recycling, but we just pretend it's the strength. It's cask strength.
Also, I believe you've unlocked something significant.
You guys got to help me decide now. I'm going to be reading this in ascending order of potency, starting at 3.4%. So pick one of these names, and I'll start out. Hop Junkie, Easy, Foundation 11, Drunken Sailor, In Your Face, 745 Escalation, Roundhouse Kick, or Rest in Peace, which is a 10.1%
Roundhouse Kick does
wine.
sound pretty good.
I think Roundhouse Kick.
That is a 9.2% Imperial Stout.
Imperial.
Nice.
Idle approves.
I do. Yes.
I would.
Wow.
Look
That's
at
nice.
this.
I am drinking.
That's a nice bottle as well, actually. I like that.
So I picked up, because I've been getting a beer advent calendar, so I've been picking up day by day. Today's one is I can't even say this, no, it's probably reversed, you probably can't see that. It's a Stiegelbock from Salzburg. This one is in fact like 7%, so I'm actually starting off with a Stiegel Columbus, which is lower percent, so we'll get onto the higher one later. So I thought, better not start with the high stuff, let's just get into it. But yes, and Stars, what is your beverage of choice?
I have sugar-free soda because I am that much of a weak bitch.
Nah, you're right. You made the choice to not indulge in the
I'm the designated driver, to be fair. Even though I don't drive.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, in terms of the show and taking responsibility of us, yeah, you are our designated driver.
Yeah, like you can't see it, but just right down here by my keyboard, I have a giant red button I need to slap if anything ever happens, and I can't. It just automatically cuts the power to Isle's entire house. Now you would think it would just cut the power to like his Stream Deck and his PC, but no, he gave me administrative privilege. If I ever do something really embarrassing, no, the entire house has to go.
Yeah, the whole stream goes down, everything. All the records are wiped from YouTube, everything.
All gone.
Okay. The one thing we are going to do as a regular this week, because we weren't going to, but then some of us ended up in the leaderboards. But we're going to talk about the event winners, because Save's doing it. Congratulations to, I'm going to say this wrong, I know it, but Repshai, from the SOS fleet. Congratulations for getting a 5 of 5 Ancient Humanoid and winning the faction event this weekend. Also on the listings, we have Travelling Man at number 4, Nolian at number 5, Navark number 8, a certain Captain Idle representing the Timelines Talks brand at number 10, Junkie's very own Captain Kirk at number 14, QA's very own Data at 17, Sonkatse Siete number 20, Captain Dathon 10F, Fleet Leader at 24, and I'm shouting at this name because I've seen that name around a couple of times, but I just love it. Panic at the Cisco number 25. That's brilliant. A certain
Amazing.
A certain Mr. Taunton 2000 at 29. God, another heavy hitter. Leggett Bry at 35. Nearly said that wrong that time. And, Brie, yeah. And Damar at 50. So congratulations everyone that ranked. And yeah, that was a high scoring one for us. But we will go on.
I really wanted you to say, I'm going to mispronounce this, and you say Captain Edel?
Yeah. That's not actually my name on the leaderboard at the moment.
3000. Like, yes, those are definitely those names.
And by the way, I've got to shout out our squadron name for the event, Scars of History. We went with the Bond-themed Scaramangas of History, so way to go us.
Our previous one was what, Live and Let Vahara?
Live and Let Vahara.
Yeah. Oh, very quickly, how was that event for you, Mart, as well? Because did you rank high enough to go into it, or are you still?
I'm actually doing the. I'm slowly stopping to play. Cool. Actually, it's going to be 5 years. I started 5 years ago on Christmas holiday.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I'm probably going to stop during the Christmas holidays this season. Well, I say probably. That's my plan. Yeah.
So what does
hold on now.
Go on.
Now that you've seen these objective event rewards, are you thinking about coming back?
No. Sorry.
those 200 crons couldn't tempt you back.
The reparations. Oh, and the training stuff.
The trainers.
That's the trainers.
You know how it stopped at this hexadecimal number 32767. You know, the integer number cannot go higher.
What if Ben said, because he's in chat and I know he's listening, what if he said, actually, we've now expanded the amount of trainers you can have. You can now have 64,000. We've doubled it, you know. Would that tempt you to No? No, okay.
That would be compelling.
Fantastic. Okay, before we get on...
I guess you're on the show at just the right time then. Yes. We're glad to have you, Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, we would have got you on even if you'd quit, just to find out why. We'll probably talk to you again about your reasons and things like that when we get some time.
This show is very tangentially related to the game. Let's be real, especially this.
We tend to talk more about Star Trek things than anything else. But Ben says, "What about a citation?" Anyway, a few notes and things before we crack on. Next week is our Star Trek Timelines Awards show, where we'll be donning our suits and rolling out the red carpet and having the big ceremony for all our awards. And thank you to everyone in the community that did the community voting. That is now finished now. So thank you for everyone who submitted their own titles, and thank you everyone for voting, and thank you for putting up with me spamming the everyone tag in Discord pretty much every day. So I'm glad quite a few people voted on that. I'm very happy that I think we had something over 1,000 votes accumulated between all the things, so that's great. Thank you everyone for that. And if you've not joined our Discord, come and join. The link will appear in the chat very shortly. After that award show, we'll be doing our roundup of the last 2 weeks of Timelines news before we have a break, and we'll be coming back sometime in the new year. I believe it's something around the 12th, I believe, something like two weeks in, having a little break, having a little chill out time, a little bit of a step back to spend some time with our families. And no, who are we kidding? We're going to play the game. Okay.
I'm sure they won't do anything crazy like dropping another 3 objective events and an honor sale and a new event type, and I'm sure that won't happen.
We need to talk to them about an honor sale, and we need to talk to them about a charity stream at some point. So that's on the cards in some form. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Talk to us. But anyway, did someone say Technobabble al Fresco?
Technobabble al Fresco. Welcome back. Here we go. I'm not arguing. I'm simply pointing out that in several seconds, the entire crew of Voyager will be transported to the array, where you will be tortured and probed for medical information. It will be quite painful, but not fatal. Speaking to a hologram of Captain Janeway, I would never be so insubordinate otherwise. In Projections, Season 2, Episode 3. But you knew that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Picardo, for doing that. I mean, how do you do that, Otto? You're over in the forest and you're here on the street? I just don't understand.
I'm a hologram. I can appear at will anywhere I want.
That
explains you can't see it, but he's got the mobile emitter underneath his hoodie right there.
Okay. First on...
Sorry to pull back the curtain there, but you know.
He didn't make one. I'm surprised.
The mobile emitter is just the beer now. You'd never see it leave his hand. It's constantly there.
I'm basically like Odo. I can create the beer in my hand, but I can't set it down on its own, or it reverts to gelatinous form.
I believe
very thoughtful of you.
Okay, top of the order. I'm going to say Otto, please. Because this was kind of your idea. Please take us through who you would like, or what aspect of the Doctor shall we discuss first this time?
Well, before we cut off the rest of the news and notes, I had a couple more of those.
Oh, is there more? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, first of all, there is a slot sale going on right now. No free slots this time. A couple of trait updates since we talked about them last week. Not Admiral Patar got the telepath trait, and not Chancellor Kempek got cultural figures. So a couple of updates there if you're competing from this week. And a small note from Shan, who says objective events will take place on Tuesday or Wednesdays and will be announced on the Wednesday of the previous week. So I saw a couple of people say the other day they wouldn't have known there was an objective event going on unless they checked the forums, because it didn't show up and it didn't flash the event hub or anything like that. So hopefully they get a little better with announcing that.
So what you're saying is objective events won't arrive until Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. We'll cover that in depth next week as well. Let's kick it off with a Warship EMA. We're going to cover every single possible Doc variant, Robert Picardo variant you could ever want. So We're going in reverse alphabetical order, I guess. I don't know.
There we go. Oh, and I've got all my notes wrong. Hang on. No,
I'm shocked.
No, it's okay. There we go. I'm in sync now. We're fine. We're there. Warship EMA. This is a great episode. I love this episode. I know I sound like a fake
amazing. Well done.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called Living Witness.
Living Witness. Thank you.
We covered this episode 2 weeks ago for Quarren.
Yeah. So this is as close as we ever got to a mirror episode for Voyager. And in some ways, I enjoy it more than the average mirror episode because it's less. It's just as mustache twirlingly evil, but it also has more of a point and a commentary on like historical analysis and interpretation and the way that politics can like fuse with that. So it's a very good Star Trek episode, and it's also just an excuse for everyone to act so evil, so evil.
It's kind of the best part of the Discovery Mirror episodes in season 3 when you had actual Mirror Burnham, real Mirror Burnham, and she just got to act so hammy. And I was like, that was so good. Like, I want this Burnham. But no, I think there was genius idea of whoever decided the Doctor should be an android and not a hologram, just have the yellow contacts in, because that makes it, I don't know why it makes it so more malevolent, but it just is. I don't know.
Well, it's also like it adds a degree of authenticity because it's like that's still a very much a Star Trek thing, like, you know, a student-type android, but they just got it just ever so slightly wrong in the term of artificial life form. That's what kind of gives it that little bit of a kick, and it's a nice little touch.
Now, I feel ashamed because No Name Namer points out that he also plays Louis Zimmerman, the creator of the EMH. And we don't have any of those for this week, so apparently we've restricted his acting range to only one character, but he's got a lot of characters. So.
We could talk about his Orville appearance as well if you really want to.
Oh, that's true. That's a good one. He and Phlox are in that episode together, right?
That's right. Yes, they are. I believe because he's I think his name's Alara. Is it Alara's father? Isn't he?
I've only seen it once.
Yeah,
so
I've only seen it once.
But...
Anyway, Warship EMA, great episode, great crew. Actually, good card.
This is a monster card. Now. He came out almost 3 years old. Because it came out in January 2019, so he's a month shy of 3 years old. Great skill set for voyages. Good skill set for Gauntlet, too, because he doesn't have huge proficiencies, but a quartet of 45% trade sets. I've taken him there. I've taken him actually on ships, instant damage, because he was like my first gold on one of my accounts, so he can do pretty much anything. He had a good base. Let me check. Number 12. That's okay.
Especially when he gets a bonus. Perfectly serviceable.
He's got a lot of good traits, dual collections. So this is like, if you guys are ever stuck on a crew to retrieve, you don't have EMA done yet, that's an easy choice. He hits it in almost every area of the game.
Yeah, I'm very certain that Voyager rank 62. I'm pretty sure that's better than when I finished him, and that was a while ago. Like, he's really benefited from all these collection bits.
It was funny because. There's a little quirk where this was back, when we were banging stones together to calculate voyage score, and our spreadsheet had him at like rank 35 or whatever, and he starts to drop voyage ranks over time. And then we realized that someone had input the stats wrong whenever they put him in, so we recalculated. He jumped back up to where he had debuted at, so it was like free voyage score out of nowhere because someone input the wrong number in the sheet, so he was actually better than we thought at the time, but yeah, he's aged very well.
Tell me, Mark, will you miss your
I think
copy
it was
I'm sorry, go.
Yeah, no, it's okay. In the early days of your spreadsheet, I noticed that MedSec was my biggest weakness, and this is when I cited him. Basically, this was the opportunity, and ever since, he still makes a lot of voyages.
Will you miss him?
It's a good crew. Yeah.
Will you miss seeing his face on all the MedSec voyages every day?
Marto just like having his phone up, like, I'll miss you.
The thing is, no,
Wolverine.
You can't still log into the game and look at the crew you've earned and go, that was nice. You could print them out and put them on your wall and go, yep, this is my trophies.
I'm sorry. What does your room look like right now, Stars? What's on the walls?
You know what?
But yeah, Warship EMA. Great card. I kind of I lamented this on the forums earlier when they were talking about potential for a new Culber to be coming out, and people saying like, oh, there's not enough good med voyage crew. I mean, there's a few really good ones, but in comparison to Command IPSEC, we kind of have Warship EMA, Mycelial Culber, Dr. Pollard, but they're not up in those top ranks where we want them to be. They haven't kind of got that later losers power, have they?
Well, there's Dexter.
And Dexter. But,
where is he now?
62.
What's his rank now?
Unboosted, he's rank 92, but he's got 6 antimatter traits. He's got maybe the best skill set in the game right now, because Med-Eng has been filled out more than Med-Command. So he's a very good Voyager.
Oh, did you know
we did get a little...
Sorry, go
Yeah. We did get a little bit of news today from Shan, who said the vote coming up for the giveaway crew, I guess in January, will be between a Culber variant, a Saru variant, and a Gray variant. So we're doing a get out the vote campaign for Culber because we need more med crew after all of these command IPSEC options. So if you're on the vents, throw your vote behind Culber. Otherwise,
this is Team Culber here. Team Culber.
Well, it's also like as part of the talk about December, like can you name a single bad medical officer from a Star Trek show? They're all amazing characters, like ranging from Bones, even Dr. Piper was in one episode. Boyce, he's amazing. Mbenga's great. He's fucking
coming back here.
Got a mean right hand. Yeah. I like Crusher. People have a lot of time.
Oh no,
Lasky, Bashir really grew.
Toby Russell, not a good doctor.
That is not what I meant, and you know it.
Blue Barrel,
the Doc himself, and even the newer ones like Culber and Tiana are both amazing as well.
Noted chiropractor Blue Barrel. You're not going to vote for him.
Oh, if we get the Blue Barrel as a card in the game, make it like the number one like sec base, that'd be amazing.
It would have to be our first animated card. It would have to be just like a boing, and it has to have that little rubber bounce as it hits the ground. It has to have.
So, Marto, who's your favorite Star Trek Doctor, and why is it the Doc from Voyager? I shaved my head for this. If you don't say Robert Picardo, we're in trouble.
You're gonna kick me out of the stream, right?
No, kick me out of the stream before you.
Yeah, I'm a Crusher fan actually. It's yeah. She was really good. I liked her calm voice in the way she in the episode Remember Me is just phenomenal. She's just amazing in there.
That is
I'm
another
a big fan of Culber,
event.
and I would vote for Culber if I'm still there.
If you're still with us,
I can vote.
You can still vote. You may not be part of the game. You can still vote.
Yeah, no one can authenticate whether or not you're still playing the game when you vote.
So I have a small request, a bit of an impromptu request. Can you read the card art for Warship EMA in your French? Not the card art, the flavor text.
Sure.
Sorry.
Does he have flavor text?
Yeah, I don't know.
He doesn't have flavor text. No.
Well, we'll get a doc that does.
Can you read the words Warship EMA in a French accent, please?
Warship EMA.
Oh my god!
Yeah! Damn it!
That was incredible.
I think you're expecting to say
there's no
French.
There's no flavor text.
Oh my god! I'm blown away by the level of acting.
I honestly don't know his name in French. I play in English. There's this there's this alliance, a fleet that it's called Quebec Alliance that only plays and discusses in French. So if any French watchers or French Canadians are on the stream, join them. They're missing a few key spots.
Bienvenuto, my French friends. Willkommen.
We did have a request once when we had the first Q&A with Ben. Someone did message me saying, "Can I put this on my German channel and because I've translated it in German? Would you mind if I post it?" I was like, yeah, absolutely fine. I didn't realise such a thing existed, but there is a hidden international community we obviously don't hit out to because we only speak English on this show. But we're reaching out. This is our diversity. Mart is our token French person this week. Okay, shall we move
let's
on?
Move
Go
on. Let's go from the top of the list to the bottom. EMH, Emergency Medical Hologram Mark 1.
Hang on. Yes. Sorry, he's a 2-star crew, so I can't get the proper stats for him.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they don't have stats. They just exist in a nebulous blob.
Yeah.
All right, so
Says
this is a
Stretchy
crew.
Sam.
I don't know if we've talked about this crew at all. But this is, as an honor hall crew, it's kind of an interesting proposition. I've seen a lot of people buy them just for the completionist aspect. A lot of people avoid them because they cost honor. Now they just got 2 collections, really, the rarity one and then the physician one. What else does he have? Hologram and then just Human Federation Starfleet. So he doesn't have a lot, but you know, you need a lot of, 80 physicians to complete that. And he's not the worst for cadets, even though you can't use him on Thursdays. So I don't know. Have you guys bought him? Do you want to buy him? Are you tempted ever?
I think I bought it before the physician collection was done out of completion, mostly. But I was really happy that when they did expand the physician collection, I was like, oh, fantastic. It's an easy +1 there on a tough collection. So if anyone's shirking at the 15,500 honor...
I love honor! I demand honor!
Like that. I'd say it's a safe bet. It doesn't take long to get up to that, and it's a really easy fuse, and it's a really easy notch on that collection, which is at 80 now, I think. 80 or 60, I forget now.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm going to wait until it's like a choice between, say, the 2-star Doc and Surgeon Pulaski and Linus. In this case of, I have slightly better things considering my honor on because I'm like tapped out in slots at the moment. But I don't see that there's no reason not to. Like, Hologram could easily become another collection. They've been talking about that for ages. Am I the only one slightly thrown off by his art, where like the top half is very, very detailed, but then as you go below, he's got very, very, very skinny legs, and that purple and blue outline.
The Enterprise hologram, the Enterprise holoprojectors could only sort of render half scale.
So I'm checking now because that art reminds me of his appearance in First Contact when he says, "I'm a doctor, not a doorstop." But but his arena ability is just being thorough, which is from that Voyager episode Lifeline, where Doc beams over to save Lewis. He goes, "I'm just being thorough," and then the iguana repeats it, "Just being thorough." So that's why it's stuck in my mind. But so
he didn't wear that uniform in that episode, though. Did he?
No, he didn't. He wore his standard Voyager uniform.
Yes,
even though everyone else around him was wearing the First Contact style.
Yeah, this is First Contact.
Because he never uses a little pad like that in First Contact.
Yeah, his flavor text references Voyager's EMH. So
what you're saying is he should count as the timeline's original.
It's an amalgam.
Like noted, incompletely 100% original, non-canon human Neelix.
Yes. Timeline's originals. God, boy, I hope someone got fired for that blunder. This is. I mean, it's, all things considered, this I remember going to the cinema seeing First Contact, and it's kind of like the moment you have with Marvel films now, and you sort of like, someone pops in for the side and you go, "Oh, it's that person!" Like watching First Contact, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's the Doc from Voyager! This is so cool!" Like spotting Ethan Phillips earlier in the holodeck, and just like it was a very cool little cameo that they didn't have to do, but was very appropriate. It was a very good scene as well.
Have I told the story about how he got that role?
No.
I'm pretty sure I must have done it at least once, no?
Yeah, I know it, so I don't know if you told me or someone else told me, but anyway.
Okay, so the way it goes was Picardo obviously knew that they were working on a Star Trek movie because he's working on a Star Trek show at the time. It's all done on the same lot, same sets, whatever. And I believe they were actually using the Voyager sickbay for the Enterprise E sickbay. Yes. It makes sense because they're developed at the same time. And he basically walked up to, I believe it was either Brandon Braga or Rick Berman or one of the producer staff, and he was like, wouldn't it be interesting if the EMH were to make a cameo? It would make sense. It's developed at the same time as the Voyager. And they're like, oh yeah, that's interesting. And then he just proceeded to do the exact same thing like 4 or 5 times to different production crew, like just signing up to them like, wouldn't it be interesting if? And then that's he just through sheer persistence and gaslighting them into think that they hadn't had this conversation before. He was just like, that's how he earned that cameo. It was a really funny scene.
I'm glad he wanted to do it. That's quite cool. I didn't know he pushed for it. I wondered if they just went, yeah.
I mean, this is a guy doing Technobabble al Fresco's. So I think
he really loves the role.
Did you say Technobabble al Fresco?
Welcome back to Technobabble al Fresco. Here we go. I can describe every detail of every piece of equipment in that sickbay from biobed to neurostimulator. But I've never even seen a sky or a forest, let alone Vikings and monsters. I can't afford to fail. but I don't know what to expect on that holodeck. Heroes and Demons, Season 1, Episode 11. But you knew that.
We really need Beowulf EMH in this list. We don't have it.
That was an excellent
that card
depiction of Lord Schweitzer from the episode Heroes and Demons.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't have that card in game.
Yeah.
What card? Lord Schweitzer of
we
Heroes
don't have that
and
card in
Demons?
game.
No, we've just
It's
got
a
timelines.
real shame. I really
originals.
like Heroes and Villains, and there's like one card from it, and it's like, it's just a shame.
Weird. Weird that. Totally deserved.
Weird. Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to that card when it eventually comes out.
I am too.
All right.
Anyway.
Speaking of cards we don't have in game.
Yes. Shall we have a round of... I haven't got a theme song for this, but shall we have time for Timelines Talks Originals. Yes. So this.
Wait, we need an intro for
I
this.
do. I need to make one. Need some time to make an intro for that. I've had the piano one. I'll play something improper. Anyway, Stars, you came up with this delightful list of Picardo appearances, starting off with Tahal Mirog Doctor. So
I had to search through it. I was like, the Doc is such a versatile character. He does, Heroes and Demons is the very first one where he actually goes on an away mission. And then he proceeds to go on almost every single away team mission, and they cram him into any episode he will fit because he's just good quality whenever he's there. And this one is from Blink of an Eye. It's a really fun sci-fi episode where Voyager gets trapped in the orbit of a planet that's going at super, super fast speed. And it's moving at a time differential, so people down the planet are moving at like 100 years for every second that Voyager is going.
Well, they just ripped off that Futurama episode, didn't they?
I think it might have come out just slightly before.
Yeah. It did.
I would hope so.
Yeah, it did.
But to be fair, if that's the kind of cross-pollination going on in 90s Trek, that's fine. This is a good episode. So they obviously get the idea of, well, we can't really send anyone biological down to the planet because they will age and probably die instantly. So why don't we just send down the Doc? Because, mobile emitter, we can beam him down like anyone else. And he's like, fair enough, it's an acceptable risk. And then I think he pops up like a few minutes later, and it's been like 4 or 5 years because the time differential keeps on messing up because of the Voyager's orbit, and they keep on trying to move, and it's not working. And he basically gives them, here's all the xenoanthropological data that I can give you. Here's all the stuff I can give you about the politics, and how they understand the skyship, which is what they call Voyager. And he also at one point mentions that he apparently had a son.
Yeah.
And they never really elaborate on that.
It was the Klingon head ridges. They're like, but how did you? He's like, don't ask. So they just...
Yeah, basically.
And he doesn't tell Janeway. He only tells it to someone else, right?
Yes, I believe he tells it to one of the other aliens who comes aboard.
Yeah.
It's like
Daniel Day Kim.
Very
yeah.
hush-hush.
By the way, Daniel Day Kim, wasn't it? I forgot about that.
Daniel Day Kim is in here. Plays Gotano Retz. And if you don't know him for whatever reason, he's the guy in the Lost meme where he gives his the thumbs up and then it cuts to the Lost splash screen. He's also in 24. My wife and I were watching this, and he pops up as Jack Bauer's assistant. I'm like, that's the guy from. And she goes, yeah, I actually know him. So he's a good actor.
Yeah, no, he's always, as we say, good quality. So I decided, you know what? This is. I was going through the transcript of this episode, and I was like, I kind of am justified in giving him all these traits because he has a son, so romantic was kind of a lot.
I had to cut off. I ran out of room.
It says etc. So read them all off for us real quick, please.
I haven't. Have you got them written down?
Hang on, I'll have to go back on the Discord
All
where
right.
you put them.
I'll find them. You
You
keep
find
talking.
that, yeah.
Ooh, there's Naked Chakotay.
Yeah, he's one of the. He's one of the rare non-Burnham xenoanthropologists. That one I felt like was absolutely justified because he is literally going on a xenoanthropological mission to this planet to investigate their response to Voyager. It kind of makes the most sense in the world to me.
Okay,
I feel
so
like a lot of Chakotay should have it as well. But...
He has human, hologram, Starfleet, Federation, undercover operative, xenoanthropology, musician, romantic, astrophysicist, caregiver, explorer, physician, resourceful.
Now, tell me one of these doesn't fit.
Yeah, no, they kind of most. I would say maybe resourceful, but he does lose contact and have to kind of make his own way on the planet. So
yeah, because he mentions that at some point during the time he was on the actual planet, his building got bombed, and he basically had to get through that. And I feel like I can give him resourceful for that.
Did he set the bomb? Because then we can give him the saboteur trait.
There's a whole 7
Is that
series.
too many?
Like perform surgery on a torpedo.
Is there going to be like a whole 24 series with Hal Mirog Doctor just sort of like, doing the whole sequence where he actually becomes a spy for 24
Hangs out
hours?
with Gary Seven.
Yeah. All right, let's
Had
move
this
on.
been a Deep Space Nine episode, the writers would have focused on the Doctor on the planet for most of the episode.
I feel like you could have very easily written an entire episode around his adventures on that planet.
That's
if you
essentially what
wanted
the
to.
Inner Light was, wasn't it? That was the Inner Light's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Has anyone turned Doc's story in this episode into a book? I feel like that's just ripe for
So
them.
I did actually do a bit of research, believe it or not. And because I was looking up what is the name of this species? What am I going to call this variant? And apparently there's a short story that goes into it, and it also explains how he got a child, and it's because he adopted a child. Why is my hair flipping on screen? And he adopts the kid with his roommate, and that's the justification for him having a child, because otherwise you're like, wait, you're photonic, how does that work? So yeah, Tahal Mirage was the name of the species. So.
Very nice. Okay, move on to the next one. Artist Doctor from Human Hologram Starfleet Federation. Artist, musician, physician. I would wonder if maybe you could excuse the musician trait for just artist. I understand that all doctors kind of have to have them, but maybe this is more... You could streamline it a bit.
I would make the argument that maybe all musicians can be artists, but not all artists are going to be musicians. So that's the distinction there. So this is from, I believe, oh god, I forget which episode it is. He's painting 7 nude. I think it's
Tinker, Tenor, Doctor,
Spy. That's the one. And there's I could do 50 variants just from that one episode alone, because as the name befits, he does a lot. He has a lot of weird hallucinations, and that I think it's also where you get the first appearance of the emergency command hologram, and also we get maybe the best scene in all of Voyager, where he calls to activate the ECH, and it's like a Kamen Rider henshin, where his green turns into command red. And then, I think Kim is
zoom in on
watching.
the pips.
Yeah. Kim turns to Janeway, and he's like, "This is the part I really like." And then get the dramatic zoom in of each of the pips appearing, and Janeway's just like, "Nice touch." They're just like, I appreciate the imagination. And the quote here comes from the fact that when we come to this scene, you can actually see Janeway's head there in the picture, and he's just painting 7 nude. And it's very, very clinical. That's why I didn't give him romantic, because it's not particularly sexually charged. It's just a pure painting thing.
Oh, it's not on the production end. It is from the viewer's end.
Well, no, because Doc sort of fantasizes about her a little bit in his daydreams. So it is a little bit of that as well. But you're right. It doesn't really go there.
I felt like if I gave him romantic here, it'd be a bit skeezy. And I think I also remember reading one of the stage directions was he's very clinical in his look, and you can kind of see that in how he's looking there as well.
This is also the guy that got aroused in Seven's body when he was downloaded into her implants. So he is a little bit skeezy when it comes.
He is a little bit. Yeah, they come in to see him during this hallucination, and Janeway just doesn't know what to say. She's just like, he's very good at hands.
He does the hands well.
Yeah, he does the hands well. And I feel like an episode like this is just so good.
I'm on the Drunken Sailor, 6.4%.
IPA, nice.
Yeah, I just opened the Steigelbock at the 7.4%. Yeah.
Drink. This episode especially is Voyager has such a very dry and very 90s sense of humor, but I really enjoy it for it. It's just it consistently makes me laugh more than TNG or DS9 ever did.
So is there a version of this meme? Because the Picard clip that people spoof is when Picard's painting something and Data looks around and it turns out he's either drawing something really stupid or something really rude.
A horse playing a saxophone, yeah.
Is there a version of that but with this scene? I think where he turns around,
I don't
he's
think
actually
you get
painting...
to see what he's painting, unfortunately, but I imagine you could fake it with a good enough composition.
Oh, apparently I said name my beer wrong. It's not Stiegel, it's a Stiegel.
So good.
Yes.
All right, so justify the engineering here for me.
So I didn't want to make him a two-skiller. So I was like, okay, psi, no, it doesn't make any sense. So diplomacy, I feel like that makes sense for a painting. He's in a diplomatic context. It implies a certain amount of diplomacy if you can get a woman to pose nude for you. I assume. Med, because he's the doc. Guess what? There is not a doctor variant that exists in the game that doesn't have med. No, it doesn't exist. You can't tell me.
Did someone say Lord Schweitzer?
And so I was like, okay, well, I can't give him command. He's not really very commanding in this scene. Sec would be unfortunate implications. So I was like, okay, what about engineering? Because when you're painting, there is a degree of engineering, getting your proportions right and replicating. That was my justification for the end.
Bro.
Guess what? It's better than some. Okay? It's better than Taurus Quark having med because he's holding a Hologram.
All right, then give Tora Zial engineering for her painting of a flower, please.
That was a purely aesthetic. It was not a realistic painting. Ergo, she is just not some diphead.
Okay.
That is my justification, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Next one. Miniature collectible doctor.
This is my favorite one, by the way.
Yeah, this is so good.
Yeah, this is one that Auto gave me the art for, and he was like, "No, you have to do this one." I was like, "Okay, yeah, that's pretty good." And I could already picture how the art would be. Like, I would want him to be like leaning down, and then he's got the little miniature doc, and they're singing together. Like, I imagine it would play havoc on the hold screen, like he does with Runaway Poe, but you could do it.
I think they probably just have Picardo standing there, and he's wearing this like obnoxious smoking jacket as he's taking autograph requests, and just have him wearing that, and then like holding Doc in his hands, like near his face or something. And I think they could definitely make that work.
That could definitely work, yeah, but on a scale. So this one, I feel like, there's no real way I can justify keep making anything other than a two-skiller. And Doc doesn't really have many two-skillers, so I was like, you know what, you can throw one or two in there for the odd moment. And it's like, all he's doing is singing. Like, he can't really expand that out.
Mart, could you say his flavor text for me? Can you give it in your most luscious accent?
The Italian stuff?
No, it's French, I can tell.
It's all foreign to me.
Nell'alma infodere.
That's authentic.
Thank you.
Now, can you sing that for us?
Oh. Are you a singer?
No, I can't. I don't. No.
Do you have the artist trait?
Writer more than anything.
Okay.
That's a full part.
This was a little bit of this. I know we're going to talk about the episode later, but this was a little bit of a disappointment because they set up the backdrop for Pagliacci, and then he gets the costume for Pagliacci, but we never hear that beautiful piece of music, and Ben was like, let down.
So I know that, like, I think Picardo does do a lot of the singing that you actually hear him do, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, except when it's the tenor parts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, you seem to know a lot more about opera than I do. Is it a case of maybe that aria or Arioso or whatever was out of his range, possibly, and that's why they had him? Oh, okay, that would probably explain it then.
Because there's two other parts.
Double.
Yeah, there's two other opera parts in there, and it's not him, but it's him in other scenes. Yeah.
So he sings everything except the very last song, the one about lost love. It's sung by a tenor, and because I'm reading memory off his page, it says this is the only time the doctor's singing was not provided by Picardo himself.
I feel like that's fair, and it also kind of plays into the episode because obviously we're going to get into that part, but it does get into a bit of a discussion about his voice being kind of subverted and taken from him. So I feel like that kind of almost makes sense for it to be in an episode that's like that. Too many traits?
Or he just doesn't have the range, which is totally understandable.
No. We cannot speak such ill of Robert Picardo on this stream. I believe
on his own show. How could
we? You know, this is terrible. We'll have to have a Technobabble al Fresco to just cleanse the palate.
Welcome back to Technobabble al Fresco, Pandemic Edition, which I'm going to have to loop because there's too much wind noise. But you remember how easy looping is when you're wearing a mask. Here we go. What am I supposed to do? Lead a revolt with a gang from Sandrines? Conjure up holograms of Nathan Hale and Che Guevara? I'm a hologram, not a counterinsurgent. Basics, Part 2, Season 3, Episode 1. But you knew that.
There you go. Okay, moving on. This one you're going to have to explain to me. Acrobatic Doctor.
I'm so glad that we decided to do Robert Picardo's stream. Like, we could be whining about traits right now. We could be complaining about objective events. Instead, we've been smiling for like the last half hour. This is great.
I'm having a ball. So, this was one, the instant we said we were doing Doc-Cember, I wanted to highlight this moment. Because this is, I think, the actual most insane 90s Trek ever gets.
This is the Kirk, the double hand,
this is so much stupider. It's so dumb. So this is from, I believe, Renaissance Man.
Hold on, because you're going to get into this. But in the episode Journey to Babel, Kirk gets into a fight with, I think it's Thelev, the fake Andorian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're in the hallway, and he's doing his chop and stuff. It's not working. At one point, just like unprovoked, he jumps up, does a kick off the wall to try to hit him, and misses completely. It does no damage, but he had to do like a wall kick in the middle of this fist fight. And I'm like, oh my god, that's Shatner.
Pretty damaged set doing it as well. So this is from Renaissance Man, which is the setup is it's kind of a natural evolution of Tinker Tenor Dr. Spy, where he basically has to use a constant litany of like disguises. He disguises himself pretty much every member of the command crew in this episode, in order to try and get Captain Janeway back from the hierarchy. And the context for this particular scene is Tuvok, who I think is maybe one of the only like members of the command crew still like awake and not in like a morgue freezer where he's been like anesthetized, is that you're trying to apprehend the Doc who's disguised as pregnant B'Elanna. And the lead-in is, you wouldn't shoot a pregnant woman, would you? And he is like, Doctor, come on, we need to sort this out. And then he proceeds, as pregnant B'Elanna, to jump off the wall and do a Matrix move, grab Tuvok's phaser, and point it at him. And it was really hard getting a screen cap for this, because it's the kind of thing you can really only capture in motion. It's
what series
bonkers.
is this?
That's the almost second to last episode.
So this would have been post-Matrix, so this is probably directly... Someone watched The Matrix and went, yeah, we can do that. Yeah,
it would have been actually, yeah.
So that would have been filmed around 2000, wouldn't it? Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, you have so many traits they run off the screen. So let me read these off for the folks at home. Human, hologram, Starfleet, Federation, undercover operative, athlete, costumed musician, crafty, resourceful, desperate, maverick, physician.
I will be watching that episode tonight.
I think it's a little heavy. I don't know about Maverick. Desperate maybe because he's working to get back the captain, and crafty and resourceful, there's a little bit of overlap, but definitely one of those. And I don't know about costume, because he is... I think undercover operative does imply that you wear some kind of disguise, right?
Well, we've had this kind of conversation before about what constitutes undercover operative versus costumed, and I feel like this one is appropriate. Because not only is he undercover in that he is technically working for the hierarchy, but against them as kind of a triple agent, but he is also, in this particular moment, costumed as B'Elanna. And I feel like that's appropriate for him being both. I feel like this is appropriate for both.
Would this also be
I wouldn't argue
variant? Be a Taurus variant?
That I feel like would be... No.
Yeah, but it'd have to be.
It just looks like that. No, by that logic, Lore is a Data variant.
Hold on, Musketeer Picard.
No. Because they're twins.
No.
Is a Picard variant. Musketeer Data is a Data variant. Musketeer LaForge is a LaForge variant, right?
Cheesecake 7 is a 7 and Doctor variant. It would be a B'Elanna and Doctor variant, surely. It'd be both. I'm up for being both, fine.
Ben's like, I picked the wrong day to quit doing infinite. These are the decisions that keep WRG up at night. They're like...
Yeah, I'm sure it does. That being said, you can give me guff for the traits. The episode is literally titled Renaissance Man. If he didn't have a ton of traits, I would be disappointed in myself, really.
This would also, with 13 traits, tie him for the most in the game with Mintak and Troy currently.
Considering she does nothing in the episode, I feel like this is a more appropriate crew to have tons of traits.
Scrap human. Doesn't need it.
Scrap Starfleet doesn't need it.
Nah. Who cares about that?
I do
Scrap
like
Hologram.
the hierarchy are so they're like Packlets but competent basically.
Yeah, I actually really dig the hierarchy. They're a very interesting villain. I kind of hope that we see more of them in maybe Prodigy or whatever, because I feel like they're kind of an underutilized.
I could see Lower Decks bringing them back at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Hierarchy versus the Packlets. That's the actual.
Oh yeah.
Like people go on about Star Wars versus Star Trek. Fuck that. Give me the hierarchy versus the Packlets.
Damn it.
That's conflict for the
It
ages.
is broken. Can you make it go?
There we go. All right.
Thank you.
Next up, I so want this card. Shrunken Doctor. From I think it's season 1, isn't it? This is early Voyager.
This is episode 2. This is
wow.
extremely early.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that there is something conspicuous in why it's season 1, episode 2. It's in the traits. He's missing something. He's not a musician.
Oh, interesting. That's
because why would he be?
Yeah.
Why would he be? He hasn't developed an interest in music at this point in time.
Interesting.
All right, I think casual and prisoner a little bit stretches here. So
he is literally a prisoner of sick bay even more than usual in this episode.
Okay, well then give all the pre-mobile emitter docs prisoner.
Go for it. Let's do it.
Give every hologram the prisoner trait.
Is he casual? Is he that casual? He's in uniform.
He's pretty casual. He's annoyed, but
he's on duty. I can't go with casual.
But technically speaking, so is Captain Morgan Bateson, and yet.
Yeah, but that's wrong too. So
if Captain Morgan Bateman has casual, then the Hansons should have musician for the same reason. I'm gonna fight.
So there's this episode of Frasier where he's trying to decide whether he should wear a suit or a sweater, and he goes back and forth, and Roz yells at him because he wants to project an air of casualness. And I feel like whenever I see Morgan Bateman, I'm like, someone must be a Frasier fan. He just thought of some like Frasier episode where he's being casual, and they gave him the trait. I don't know.
That's fair. But yeah, he's a pretty blasé variant. Like this, he is not. I don't want to make him a Voyager because he is not going anywhere fast. Unlike certain people in wheelchairs.
Number 5 Voyager, I believe. Jameson is.
I thought he meant Emery Erickson. Apparently, all the wheelchair characters get good voyage stats.
Actually, you could have an all-wheelchair bridge crew, couldn't you? You could have Tribunal Pike, you could have Jameson, you could have the one you just mentioned that I've already forgotten. Yeah, that's the one.
A shout out to Apollo if he's listening, who actually did that with who was it, Paslar, and then one other. And he said
Paslar, of course.
He said it was characters overcoming their disabilities, which I thought was really neat.
Cool.
So shout out to him.
Neat, actually.
Mark, when did you first start watching Voyager? Did you watch it when it launched, or were you a late viewer?
So I learned from my mistakes, and then I realized that was a mistake. After TOS, I didn't want to watch TNG because it was sacred, right?
Oof.
Yeah, yeah. And then I stumbled into the next phase with the episode with Ro and LaForge. And I got hooked at that stage. I saw it, and I'm like, okay, I need to give this a chance. DS9 launched, and I didn't want to watch a show that was stationary. And you all know now that that's my favorite show. So when Voyager launched, I said, I'm not going to make the same mistake again. But I did the same with Enterprise. But Voyager and Enterprise, I just can't get into it.
Ooh.
It's just difficult for me.
You picked the wrong week to come
picked
on.
the wrong episode.
My biggest issue with Voyager is that unlike TNG and DS9, which is amazing, it's centered around a doctor, a captain, and a science officer, which is 7. Remind you of something? That's the other characters are not there. They're brushed aside most of the time, and. Yeah. Again, we're going to talk about this later with the Virtuoso episode.
Yeah, that one.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's not an unfair criticism, I feel.
So the criticism is entirely on the writing team, right? It's not about the actors. The actors did a wonderful job. I mean, Tuvok was just amazing, for example. even Neelix was a good actor, but he was so annoying.
Neelix,
but
Neelix
yeah,
gets a better character the older you get, and you realize actually he's so innocent. He's
yeah,
just trying
Marto.
his best.
Once you grow up a little bit and age a little bit, maybe you'll appreciate Neelix more. But you with your rosy cheeks,
yeah,
and...
mature viewing audiences like Idol, definitely.
Marto's too young to appreciate the finer things in life.
Anyway, moving on.
All right, so hold on. Tell me what you like about the next phase, because for me, it's that point where Geordi and Ro take the shuttlecraft over to. They're trying to figure out what happened, because right now they're both phased. No one can see them. They're over on the Romulan ship and they're investigating. They're seeing what's going on. They go and they think they figured it out. So they walk away off screen. And all of a sudden, you see the Romulan commander stand up and walk through the bulkhead, and I'm like, "Oh, it's like a Twilight Zone moment." You're like, "Oh, there's someone else," and it really grabs you. So, what's your favorite part about that episode?
Well, I don't know if I have a favorite moment of the episode, but that episode. I mean, forget the nonsense of they're not going through the floor.
The floor,
It was the epitome of episodes where they have an issue, they have a problem, and they have to work together to solve it. That to me was just amazing, and Ro was such a good character. To pair her with a main character was a genius.
Well, the producers at that point were very, very hot on Michelle Forbes. They wanted to line her up to be Major Kira, well, not Major Kira, but to be in that role on DS9, which she refused. So they were very keen on her character to get a lot of appearances. So she was very much in favour, and rightfully so, because absolutely fantastic.
I also feel like it's an underappreciated pairing of like Geordi and Ro. Like it would have been very easy to make it like Riker and Ro, or even like Troy or O'Brien, but they went with Geordi, and I feel like Geordi has a very interesting chemistry with her, where he's like so intensely rational because he is an engineer, and he's very determined to get back to, he doesn't believe, because she starts believing, okay, we're dead. This is some kind of afterlife. I have to, make my peace with everyone here. And Jordy's like, no, that's bullshit. This is bullshit. I'm a scientist. I'm gonna science shit out of it. And he's like, ha! I was right.
Yeah, I like the moment when he's around the table with Data, and Data's working something out. He's like, yes, Data, go for it. And he's all Data's like just very curiously like puzzling around. I kind of love that scene because even though Data's not sensing shit, Jordy's still like, I'm believing something here.
He's also a lot more optimistic, where a lot of Bajoran characters, because of their childhood, they can't afford to be optimistic. So it's a good up and down pairing with those.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I hadn't considered that. My favorite scene of that entire episode probably is when they're in the shuttlecraft. Doc-Cember. When they're in the shuttlecraft and Worf and Geordi are talking about celebrating their life and how Geordi and Data became friends, and how Geordi was the first person to treat Data like a real person. And then they get in this long conversation about the Bajoran death chant, and then about having a party for a wake. And it's like, that's one of the most Star Trek scenes I can think of, where it's literally just talking about cultural differences in a shuttlecraft for like 5 minutes.
Hold on, is this the episode? Works. Is this the episode where Worf and Data go through the? Oh no, that's for the wedding gifts.
Yeah,
they go catalog shopping for Keiko's wedding.
It is often said that a gift should reflect the personality of the giver. This gift does not remind me of you.
Okay, we gotta get
back on topic. Let's move on to the next one, which is Kenneth.
Did someone say Technobabble al Fresco?
Oh, they did now. Hang on, I got to count this one.
In that book, which is my memory, on the first page of the chapter, which is the day that I first met you, appear the words, "Here begins a new life." The words of the great Italian poet Dante Alighieri, used at the end of Latent Image, Season 5, Episode 11. But you knew that.
Okay. I'm running out of those. That's 5. I've got 8, so that's number 5 done.
Oh, okay. Did someone say Technobabble? Okay.
No. Kenneth.
So, this is one of those variants that would... Yeah. This would be one of those variants that would give you hell when you try to unfreeze him for a faction event, because he's not named EMH, he's not named Doc. I gave him the name that he uses in the holodeck program in real life.
Yeah, I think we talked about it recently. Just make the hidden traits searchable, or at least like the name. So if you search EMH, you get them all, and then you can call him Kenneth. I think that's great.
Yeah. I wanted to give Doc a really, because we've got like Warship EMA, but like Doc is such a beloved character. I wanted to give him a few good variants, and I'm always a sucker for a good med crew, so I decided to give him some good voyage power. And this particular scene, I was like, how do you make him differential from the other one? Because we've also got Holo Novel Doctor, who was meant to be from this episode, even though I didn't realize it for the longest time. And I was like, how do I make him visually distinct? So I took the image from when he's trying to talk to his son Jeffrey, who wants to be like in the Klingon club at school, and he's wearing his like hair in like a Klingon rat tail, and it looks awful. And he's talking about Volky thinking.
By the way, if you guys didn't watch our stream last Sunday, we're just shooting the breeze talking about delicious foods and random Star Trek episodes, and this came up. So
we spent about an hour talking about food, didn't we? It's ridiculous.
Glorious food.
Exactly.
And so shout out to the Antedian Assassin's arena ability quote, which is just food.
So yeah, this comes from the scene where he's trying to talk to Jeffrey and be like, I'm just trying to be a good father. I'm trying to make sure that you don't rush into anything violent or dangerous, without thinking about it because you're a young man. I'm trying to be your caregiver. And I don't think it really lands for Jeffrey. The only thing that brings them together as a family is when their kid dies at the end of the episode, which is a bit of a bummer. But still good Voyager.
By the way, Ben, if you're watching, I would take these stats if Culber wins the giveaway vote for next month's crew.
Med Dip Command.
So
yeah.
just
swap
putting
the
that
dip
out
in the
there.
command. I'd make Med Command. And
don't get too picky, or we're going to get Command Dip Sec Culber. All right.
I could have tried to make everyone a Med Command, but that wouldn't be realistic now, would it?
Another bunch of traits here.
Well, yeah, I felt that's great.
I mean, as the father of the family, he is trying to instill order in these kids. Command actually does fit, but the fact that he kind of fails spectacularly once Lana modifies the program, then...
I feel like that's why I made it the tertiary. I was like, I can make this Med Command, but it doesn't feel appropriate for the fact that, by and large, he does not succeed in anything he tries to do after Banana alters the program to make it more realistic. I felt making him Command would be a sacrifice for status over representing the episode, and I don't do that on these segments. I go for faithfulness to the episode.
I like caregiver. Caregiver makes sense. That's caregiver. Yeah.
By the way, the two traits that didn't make it on screen are desperate and physician. So there you go. Ben, we didn't really talk about the voting. We did mention that it will be taking place and told everyone to vote Culber because we can't stand another Command Dip Sec crew. So there you go.
We're Team Culber. And also,
someone also has pointed out this would be a really good Gauntlet crew. I didn't even realize that until now.
Yes,
big proficiency.
Med Dip, and you could have a...
Yeah. Right, Neymar, I see you're in chat. Work out how many 25% Gauntlet this guy's got. Do you guys like voting? We do.
I like voting. Democracy is fun.
Something new. Okay. Next one. Prometheus Commando Doctor. I have one issue with this thing. Is can we get Andy Dick out of it? Can we take Andy Dick away? That would be great.
It was. I really struggled with to find a way to make him visually distinct because I don't think he holds anything. I was thinking maybe we could have him looking sheepish with the tricorder when the Romulan commander calls him out, and the fact he hasn't been taking any actual scans of the crew. But I was like, that is a bit generic. So I had to, instantly at a glance, it's that one.
You could have him maybe standing at the con, kind of like the way Helmsman Wyatt is doing.
Could do, yeah. That's an idea. I
think when everyone else is knocked out and they've taken over the ship, he takes the con and Andy's sitting next to him. So
yeah. And this is I was like, this is giving me a really good skill set, so I can't make him too good.
Now you're sounding like Wicked Realm Games. Can't make him too good. No.
Yeah, it's realism.
Nice.
Got a balance. Guess what? If this was a mega and these were all the cards you'd be getting, you'd be thanking me. These are all collection crew
so
and they're all relatively good.
Oh,
bitch.
Truth be told, I love this episode. I love it as well. I am a Starship kind of guy. I'm Starship porn kind of guy, and I loved seeing the Prometheus when it first came on screen. I was just like, oh, that's amazing, and it splits into 3. It's awesome. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah, I love a good quad nacelle design. It's a very cool one. In fact, it has the what is it called again? The multi-vector attack mode. Yeah. Very over the top, but also kind of cool. It is ridiculous. I don't know how good it would be in a tactical situation, but it's pretty good.
No one ever heard from the Prometheus again.
Marto, we talk all the time about Starship porn and our favorite starships, and they add them with every skirmish event. So, what are some of your top starships in the game?
The Discoveries just looks amazing on that game. It's just one of the best models, I think. The 2 circles in the middle, that's just phenomenal. I'm also a big fan of the Romulan Warbird design, but that's not on WRG. That's on the TNG technical team. That green, you know the one I'm talking about.
The Dideredex, the big imposing hollow design is so cool. Makes no sense, but I love it.
My favorite ship in Star Trek.
Yeah, I think the music actually helps it a lot. Everyone knows the Klingon battle music, but when the Dideredex comes on screen in TNG, they play the Romulan music, and it always sets a certain mood, and I think it's really good.
Now, okay, Mark. What ship that's not in game would you like in game?
Wow, I don't know. I have no idea. They're pretty much there. I'm not a.
So actually, because I loved Armada so much, I'd like to see a couple Armada ships in the game. Probably the Akira class, the Federation ship.
Yeah.
And then also, I think this is Armada too, but the tactical Borg cube. It's basically a cube with like giant sheets of armor stapled to the side. Yeah.
So
what about the Voyager J? Is it there?
No,
that's not there yet.
That's what I was going to say. Like Star Trek Online now is getting some of the 32nd century ships in, like the Voyager J, the Ring ship, and the new Constitution class starship. And I kind of like timelines. Come on, let's get those. I really love those designs of those ships. Let's get those in. Come on, let's go.
I'm a sucker for the Ambassador class. I'll say that.
Ambassador, yeah. Why is that not in yet? And yes, Jenna says the Zengi.
Oh, it took us years to get like the Excelsior, so it just kind of happens. Also, Jenna says
very nice.
The Borg Rhomboid.
Borg Rhomboid. Rhomboid Droniger, yeah.
Yeah.
Jenna says, pointed out, has anyone coined the nickname Picardo yet?
No? Okay.
No? Okay, nothing. Any quibbles over traits here, or are we all good?
That kind of makes sense.
These are so...
what did you guys think of Andy Dick? In this episode.
I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him.
That would be great.
I think he was fine in this episode, and he was Niles to Doc's Frasier, basically. They were like two peas in a pod, and they acted very similar, and I think it was fine, but as an actor, I don't think very highly of him.
There's a reason Troy McClure is not in The Simpsons anymore. I'm not going to go into it, but read up on it, and then you will not like Andy Dick at all. Anyway.
WG Ben says the Planet Destroyer. Are you talking about the one
Doomsday
from
Machine.
TOS? The Doomsday Machine, where we have Commodore Matt Decker from. The one that looks like a...
The thing is, they can't scale it. You won't be able to scale it right because it's massive. Like, imagine that next to DS9. DS9 would be about that big.
That's fine.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do that. They'd have it half scale.
You got Wailord. It's fine.
You'd have the Miranda class, and then the Star Destroyer, like a little chibi version or something.
It just eats the enemy ship instead of firing at it.
Why does the largest ship not simply eat the smaller one?
All right. It's Doc-Cember, damn it.
Yeah. No, come on. This is tangents. You guys are rife
with every tangent. I regret shaving my head a little.
The best time to regret that was immediately after doing it. The second best time to regret it is now.
Dude, every time my wife looks at me, I can just see the admiration and respect drain from her eyes.
Oh boy.
All right, let's continue, shall we?
Oh boy. Next one, Joe. And I believe this is Endgame Doctor.
Yes, this is the name he finally decided for himself.
You mean Endgame EMH? Because we can't give them their real names.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah. Not Dr. Schweitzer. Not Joe.
Not Dr. Joe. Yeah,
This
Dr.
is
Joe
Endgame
probably.
EMH.
Endgame EMH, yes. Remember when they didn't have a policy of putting the episode titles in the names, and they changed that with Twilight to Paul? I believe was the first one they changed that with. Might have been. Anyway, so you want to talk about traits? He's got a ton of traits, and he is a veteran, despite some conversations about other crew who should or should not be veterans. What qualifies? I feel like serving on Starship Voyager for 30 years qualifies for veteran.
Maybe. I don't know. Veteran implies combat in my eyes. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, he's never done any combat.
Well, true.
Doc
Right,
never.
okay. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so Starfleet is it's a military, even though they call themselves not military. It's a military and defense
it's a
organization,
humanitarian
basically.
And peacekeeping armada, which
Yeah,
is
well,
the
they
same as the military force.
They keep peace with their phasers and photon torpedoes. So I think if you've been because some of the Admiral, Vice Admiral Janeway.
Yeah.
And I think there's like 3 Admiral Picard variants that have the veteran trait. I think if you've been serving in a pseudo-military organization for 40 years, then you're a veteran.
Okay,
But
yeah, when you
that's
put it
just
like
me.
that.
And it'd also be consistent with Vice Admiral Janeway, and I don't know if Captain Harry Kim has it. He probably should by that point, considering how old he is.
Yes,
at that
he
point.
should actually.
By the way, shout out to the neurologist trait, because only 2 crew in the game have it right now. Mirror Bev Crusher, who is in the comics, so she's not canon. And then Dr. Blue Barrel Toby Russell.
Dr. Blueberry Russell, got it. Yeah, no, I felt a neurologist was appropriate, considering the fact that he does do all of Tuvok's neurological stuff in this episode, and he's the one who's basically been his long-term carer for the last 20 years. And you also get to see him here with his lovely wife, who I do not remember the name of.
Does she have a name? Does he introduce her?
Probably Karen.
Hold on.
Karen. Joe and Karen.
Can you imagine a more blasé vanilla name? I feel like that'd be appropriate, honestly. Lana! Was it Lana?
My blushing brother. Tomorrow's our 2-week anniversary.
2 weeks, there we go.
I can't wait to get the Lana card in game.
Can we give him the Playboy trait?
Doc Hefner? Yeah.
Doc Hefner. No, we've already had Q Hefner. We can't go that well.
Yeah.
All right. I can't remember how many more we've got left. Let's have a look. Conflicted Doctor.
So it's actually appropriate for that last al fresco you used. This is from Latent Image, which is where that quote comes from, and it's the very last line of the episode. Because he's quoting La Vita Nuova about a new life. And this is probably my favorite Doc episode of all of them. Because it kind of deals with a lot of themes that are personally resonant with me. Like, I don't know about you guys, but one of my personal all-time fears is of dementia and of losing memory. And Doc kind of struggles with parts of that here and that loss of control. And it's just a very well done, emotionally heavy, but well articulated and crafted episode. I just really enjoy it. So I had to give him a bit of love here.
There's a message in chat from Cairo. He says, did anyone say Technobabble al Fresco?
Which Star Trek series had a theme song that was not only nominated for an Emmy, but won an Emmy Award and was written by a very famous, highly decorated movie composer? Well, of course, it's Voyager. And of course, that's the late, great Jerry Goldsmith. So in honor of Mr. Goldsmith in this beautiful location, all right, you get the idea.
That's my favourite one. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Conflicted Doctor.
All right, hold on. I don't know if you guys... There's a movie that I absolutely love called Showtime. I think it came out 2002. Robert De Niro and Eddie Murphy are stuck together as buddy cops. And they have a film crew follow them around. their job trying to like stop this arms dealer or something. And of course, Robert De Niro is like this tough, grizzled old vet, and he can't stand Eddie Murphy. And Murphy's the bubbly, effervescent, I'm going to be the action movie hero guy. So they're following around recording this stuff. And so at the end of the movie, they kind of break him up. They say, all right, no more show. You guys went off script. We can't do the show anymore. So they have the scene where De Niro's in his house and Eddie Murphy is in his house, and they're watching the last episode of Showtime on TV. And they call each other up. They're like, hey, what are you doing? No, not much. What are you doing? Are you watching the show? No, I'm definitely not watching the show. Yeah, me neither. And then they see something on the show. They're like, oh my God, did you see that? I go, I knew you were watching the show. I can just picture Robert Picardo at home watching like Voyager reruns and like humming the theme song along with.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like that'd be appropriate. He would do that.
Of course he is.
Right, who are we?
Yeah, I wanted.
Oh no,
we're on Conflicted Doctor. So yeah, I wanted to give him some major love because this is like not just one of my favorite Voyager episodes, one of my favorite Star Trek episodes ever. So I had to give it a bit of love. I don't care if it's favoritism. Someone has to be the number 5 Voyager. It might as well be a Doc variant. Deserves it more than Jameson. Sorry.
Another huge med roll.
Yeah, I can't remember
yeah, shit, that's massive. That's big base, big roll.
Yeah, if you're doing the WRG, you have to copy another variant, keep all the wrong hidden traits, and then just change the stats a little bit, or don't change it.
That sounds like less work, but
So he's an admiral.
He's female.
He's all.
He's a silicon life form.
He's El Marto.
He is French Canadian.
He's French Canadian. Yeah. Can we make that in a trait in honor of El Marto?
Third neurologist in the game. I feel like it's appropriate namer. He does do a lot of neurosurgery in this episode.
I think prisoner is a little bit of a stretch.
Prisoner is metaphysical in this instance because he is a prisoner of his own mental problem in this episode.
I mean, if
you
we
can have a prisoner of the mind.
Physically, anyone can be anything.
It's appropriate for the episode. I'm sorry. He is a prisoner of his programming.
Rurapenthe Kirk could be an artist because of how much he valued his escape.
This is a work of art.
No, justify that. Walk me through that
himself, Kirk himself thought, I did this magnificently. So
he's a metaphysical artist.
He thought that metaphysically. I think we have to draw a line.
You know what the word metaphysical means.
You don't know what prisoner means, so now we're even,
Yeah, that's fine.
No, we talked, again, this is another one we talked about, I think, on our Sunday mess around stream.
Might have done, yeah.
Or maybe it was, also the scene at the end, La Vita Nuova, the new life doc. That one's going to be harder to draw up, but... that was a really good episode.
If I had to pick the art, I would go for this moment here, which is the moment in the mess hall where he basically starts to have his breakdown, and he's talking with Neelix and just going through. You can see the mania start to develop, and it's like some really excellent and really uncomfortable acting on Picardo's stuff, and also credit to Ethan Phillips for portraying a very, very
settled.
He's very, very unsettled and very uncertain what to do. Neelix here. Because the Doc is just flipping out.
I do like... I'd maybe make security a secondary, because he is a little bit frightening in this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how far to go with that, because I was like, he already feels like a bit of a murderer. Like, he himself feels like a murderer because of what he did to Ensign Arnie Tal. So I wasn't sure how appropriate it was to make Sec as a secondary, and also I didn't want to make it all Med-Sec variants. Got to do my WRG diligence,
No, then it'd just be all 2-skillers.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I think we have one more in the
That's not going to survive the trade audit.
One more. USS Voyeur, EMH.
Now, this one I feel okay giving EMH to because he's not the actual EMH. And thank you for putting that in on the thank you for catching the voyage number. Thank you. I did that intentionally.
Nice.
Now, theoretically, we have Holo Novel Doc.
who is not this.
Yeah, the wiki people claim he's from this episode. I don't think that's true, but
because he doesn't have the comb over.
No,
it's because he has the scoundrel trait, and because it says his name is Hollow Novel Doc. But yeah, the art is wrong, and the arena ability
doesn't play golf. Yeah.
Match the episode. Yeah, so.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
so...
he holds a putter. He says, "You made me miss my tee time." But
oh yeah, he does. You're right. Yeah, you're right about that.
So I don't know. Well, we could stand to have another one, I think.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. So his arena quote is one of the most skeezy exchanges in all of Star Trek, because it's when he's tending to the skeevy version of 7 of 9, who I believe is called 2 of 3, and he goes, they're triplets. And he has the shittiest laugh. It's the most... Like, even the Doc himself, like the proper Doc, is just like, are you seriously laughing like that? That doesn't... That's a Leisure Suit Larry laugh. Like,
is
it's
that why
really impressive.
Leisure Suit Larry, wow.
Sorry?
Is that why he has the romantic trait?
Oh yeah, because he literally is holding Klingon aphrodisiacs. I feel like romantic is like...
Romantic's not the right word, really, is it?
I did put scoundrel. I feel
Yeah.
like he's more of a scoundrel than romantic, but there's a bit of a crossover there. I wasn't sure how to
Can we bring
approach
Brat
that.
back for this? This sounds very Brat.
How about asshole? How about the asshole trait?
Just prick trait.
Yeah, so seven goes, it hurts when I do this, and she moves her shoulder. He goes, well, then don't do it.
They're triplets. Yeah, man. It's like Picardo plays this as such a scummy piece of shit, and I had to applaud him. He does a really good job of it, because you just feel the slime coming off him.
Well,
anything else to this card?
That's all the fake crew. So
it's pretty self-explanatory.
It is pretty self-explanatory, and I just need to love the flake crew, because I think it's time. Something we haven't done for quite a while. Theme appropriate, love it or list it.
We're having tacos for lunch. It's lunchtime. I think I'll get some guacamole. But before the boys chow down, I said I'm not buying another Mother Hotter. They have some serious flipping to do. Yes, hello, Taco Shack. And they managed to turn this lovely colonial constellation, the tacos just arrived, into a tidy profit. Want I some lower? Of course. Why does everyone think I'm such a monster? I shan't be ordering the enchiladas again, I can tell you. Otto, you can at least stand downwind of us. Well then, here's for retrieval. Timeline Stocks, Lever to List It. Wednesday at 3:30 on Channel 4.
God,
I don't get paid.
It's been so long.
As the principal voice actor for Timeline Stocks, I feel criminally underpaid. You know how hard it was to switch between awful British accent and awful female British accent?
Oh, it's just one long fart joke, and I think it's brilliant. It literally has a 3-act structure. He's broken the fart, she smelled the fart, and then she's dealt with the fart.
It's a work worthy of Shakespeare, really, when you think about it.
We have another
rise to action, falling action, conclusion.
Yeah, it's Why watch anything else? We have a constellation, which we haven't done this for a while.
Word on the street is WRG is bringing me in for episode 11. They're going to have me do the voiceovers for that.
You are replacing John Delancey with a British female accent. So love it or list it. We'll be talking about something we haven't done for a while, constellations that you may decide to love and open or list and put it on the market.
Shia Porn, wake up, chat. If you guys are with us, this is your time to shine.
Yes. So please chat, tell us. Otto, would you like to start a poll for us? Love it. I could do it myself, but you like doing it, so
I do.
Why did your command not work?
Wait. What is this? Which card is this?
This is Command Hologram. And the command is Dosey Shout, by the way. I got the wrong race.
There we go. Well, that's for Katie.
Yes, so Command Hologram
pulls up in
contains
chat.
one of the following 7 pole stars. Hologram, Human Federation, Starfleet, Hero, Musician, Tactician. Do you love it and open it and risk a what is it? That looks about pretty much a 50% chance of about 40% chance of HFS,
or
would you? What, Marto? Would you love or list this?
I would keep it for Hero.
Okay.
Heroes are really valuable. Like, there's a lot of good collection crew and a lot of like power crew, like Gary 7.
Yeah, I was just gonna say early on, people are really buying up the Gary 7 Polestars. I don't know if they still are.
I mean, he's evergreen. Like, when is he going to be bad?
Depends where you are. For me, I never got Gary 7 before Crew Retrieval. So getting Hero was, and this was before the marketplace, right? So Hero was a crucial one for me.
So
I think I'd love this one. Yeah,
I'm at like over 2 million ISM just from not doing anything. I list every Polestar or every constellation I get, and then I just buy the Polestars I need at full market price, and I'm still like
as well. I haven't looked
growing
at it
ISM.
I've got about 5 Polestars in my inventory. I've not actually. I got top 10 in the last event. I've got like 5 rarity and skill constellations I haven't even looked at yet. I should sell
those. Actually, the rarity and skills sell really well. Yeah. So since I have so much, I figured I'll just open a bunch recently. I opened like 7 or 8, and I only got Human Federation or Starfleet. I'm like, that's why I list them all.
Yeah.
So
I remember now.
Tactician's not worth a ton, and then Human Federation, Starfleet. That's 4 out of 7. I think I would personally list this one.
Tactician has its use. I think, if I remember correctly, it's the only way to get normal Christopher Pike, like the disco version, which is Command Dipsec.
Okay.
Because you need he's a very generic card. I think you need like Tactician, Inspiring, and then like 2 skill Post-Stars. It's the only combo for him, I think. But other than that, Tactician's pretty poor, yeah.
For podcast listeners, the Command Hologram Constellation, Hologram, Human, Federation, Starfleet, Hero, Musician, Tactician. Chat says 75% love it, 25% listed.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would personally...
Yeah, no, Hero makes it look very good.
I'd personally forget about it until I actually clicked on that button on my inventory and went, oh yeah, I've got some of these. I forgot this system was in the game. Because I use it so rarely now. I'm sure. I mean,
there's no musician collection, right?
Not yet.
No.
It will become one eventually.
Every trait will be eventually, but no, not at the moment.
I think if this
looking forward to that Beta and RA collection.
Oh yeah. Ramatus 3 native.
It's a metaphysical collection, so I think it counts.
Hey man, it's not my fault you're not thinking with the meta. You're not thinking 3 steps ahead.
Okay, okay. Last one. Dr. Van Gogh.
Last one? We've only done one.
Yeah, we've only got 2. I think you sent me a 3rd one, but I lost it. Okay, Dr. Van Gogh Constellation.
Professionalism, gentlemen.
I have a lot to put in this week's show. Shut up. Federation, Starfleet, Hologram, Physician, Innovator, Musician, Resourceful, Human. Would you love it? Would you list it? Kind of similar
polls
to the
up in
last
chat.
one. Yeah, polls up. I don't know. This is what's different. We got Resourceful collection now. Innovator has been expanded. There's something to love here.
So, do you guys? And Marto weighs in first because we've been dominating the conversation. Do you guys open for Pulsars that you want to have to retrieve crew, or do you look at it by value? Like if Resourceful is low value, but it may help you get the card you want, how do you approach that?
You mean when I open Constellation or not?
Yeah, when you decide to open or to list it on the marketplace, do you look for maximum value or just the pulls that you want?
I'm awful. I'm the worst player about this. I just open everything, and then when I have 5 or above, I list it.
Interesting.
5 full stars or above. I honestly don't know how to play this, and it doesn't matter anymore.
You say that, but I think we've all taken breaks or extended breaks at one point or another and decided to come back. So.
The question is, why would I need all that ISM, right? I'm just getting all the polls. I'm accumulating them. There's not enough. Once every 18 days is just not enough. So I'm just accumulating them. It doesn't make sense. I have over 1 million ISM, right? And I'm opening everything. So
You're at the point now where you
I
can
don't
just do your one scan, save up your RSM, buy the poles you need, and then move on. Like there's enough people are listing out there that it's not that competitive. It's not like none of the stuff you need is selling for outrageous amounts that you can't afford yet. Now I've said that, probably will do, but
and otherwise it would I would sink more time into this because I would have to think about this.
I mean, you're a crypto guy. You're a bit of an investor as well yourself. You've sort of played the proper big boy markets of that kind of thing, haven't you? Like, does that not like tantalize your interest? Kind of look at it and kind of go, oh, I could play this little market here and do that, or is it sort of you just sort of look at it and goes, no, this isn't real money.
At the beginning, I did, but after a few weeks, I realized that it's just too time intensive to figure out, what's going on, and I just don't have that time.
Okay, for podcast listeners, Dr. Van Gogh Constellation, Federation, Starfleet, Hologram, Physician, Innovator, Human, Musician, Resourceful, 62% love it, 38% listed.
I would list that one personally because those are very generic treats you can get pretty much anywhere. But maybe I'm in the minority on that. Like, there's a lot of collection traits in there, absolutely, but nothing particularly unique.
I think Hologram is maybe the most expensive one there.
Yeah, probably. Because Hologram, you can narrow down some very good crew like Da Vinci and...
like Dr. Van Gogh. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And Warship EMA. So, yeah.
And very soon, Beowulf EMH.
Sorry. Yeah, no, coming soon, we hope.
Well, one day.
Lord Schweitzer.
Ass.
Who would be so uncouth
he's not in the game.
Label him Beowulf EMH? That would be untrue and against the spirit of the episode.
Okay. Going back to crew that are in the game that we can talk about. Because I'm following our show notes religiously.
I don't think that's true, but continue.
Without flaw or fail, we shall talk about the Command Hologram, a very old crew, been in the game as long as time itself.
All right, I'm giving you this. This is strike one. We're going back to Mobile Doctor after this. Don't you skip over him.
Oh yeah,
he's the center. He's the centerpiece of the show.
He is the centerpiece. But let's talk about this deceptive crew, I would say, because people look at him when you're in the early game and go, "Ooh, Med Command. That's not in my rare, he's medical, he's command. It could be on that rare voyage that I send off," until you realise that he's actually pretty rubbish. But talking about the episode we were talking earlier, I think it's a great scene and it's a great evocative moment of that character.
Yeah, I think he may be number one in my heart of crew who are big in my heart, small in game, because he's just so old now. I really wouldn't mind a refresh of this card with better stats because I do love this moment so much. But yeah, he's voyage rank 300.
Can we supercharge cards? Would it be nice to have a system where we could just sort of put plugins and modules to just give them a little bit of a boost or something, just to make these?
If they ever restat cards, it's Captain Scott from Relics, and then this is and then Command Holograms in the mix with everyone else. They won't get what they're after. I mean, you won't get what you're after. It's such a good episode. It's such a good scene. It's Doc at its finest.
Activate the photonic cannon.
He's BSing his way through this encounter with the hierarchy, and in his ear, tapped into his perceptual auditory subroutines, you have Captain Janeway and Seven in Astrometrics, and they're trying to guide him through this first contact sort of, and they're like, all right, take it easy. And he's like, Tuvok, arm the photonic cannon. And he threatens to blow him out of the sky unless they relent. And of course they do, because he's so committed to the character. So
arming photonic cannon. Duh.
Yeah, that's another good Tim Russ moment too.
Yeah, no, guess what? You're not wrong, Marto, and a lot of the characters on Voyager get pushed aside for the trio. Yeah. But Tuvok still manages to knock it out of the park every time.
He's got a few one-liners here and there that are just.
He's got such a
really,
dry
really cool
sarcasm, hasn't he? It's just very kind of.
Yeah.
You can read everything from the line and the way he says it, just the perfect intention in his lines.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's phenomenal.
I think in 9 months we're gonna have Tim Russ Timber, and
honestly, you know what? Can I just say? People in the chat at the very end of the show, can we get a poll going of other actors, like alumni, that you wouldn't mind us doing it on a show like this? Because this is a lot of fun for us, and I think you guys would have fun if you get a degree of choice in the matter.
Well,
Not unlike WRG with their voting mechanics.
That's what we have.
Oh shit, we're gonna
the
get Angela
Discord
Martine
for.
May. Fuck.
I'm gonna veto that one. Let's get like Burnham-Uary and then like everyone will be pissed off.
Janeway-Uary. I think what we need to do is work up one or two of these and have
Picard.
Yeah, I was gonna say
finally come true.
So when we get a little bit too oh god, Idle's dying. When we get a little bit too negative, then we'll have one of these as a backup episode to lift things back up.
Yeah. Picard.
It's got to be Picard. Okay.
I will be heard.
But the prodigal son himself, Mobile Doctor, the key ingredient in a fusion for a cheesecake med side dip. One of the older cards that was very unappreciated until everyone wanted him, only because of his use in a fusion. But is this version of Mobile Doctor from that episode?
Equipped with a 29th century mobile hollow emitter, this EMH was no longer restricted in movement.
Okay, now Mark, read it in French.
Let me find it. It's Mobile Doctor, right?
Yes.
Equipped with a 29th century mobile hollow emitter.
I was thinking less hello and more more actual French.
I couldn't possibly.
You want me to translate or to read it?
Yeah, translate.
Please. Yeah, okay.
Just savor the moment.
Équipé d'un holo-émetteur du 29e siècle, cet EMH n'est plus restreint dans ses mouvements.
Lovely.
You guys have no idea.
My heart is aflame.
You have no idea what he just called us. I'm fluent in French, and we can't have him back on the show after this.
Yeah, no, we're banned in France and in Quebec now.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, it works for me too. So, in answer to your question, Idle, I don't believe this variant is actually from the episode.
No.
Because I don't believe you ever see him in sickbay holding a hyperscale like that in Future's End itself.
No.
The bits I most remember him doing in the episode are when he's in San Francisco, being held prisoner, and then saving Chakotay and Torres from the QAnon folks in the basement.
So this is a very sort of, this is the generic, because ages ago I tried to pin every sort of variant to their episode, and I could not pick pictures. I got like 99% of them. This one is
back
just
in the
generic.
day. They used to do just generic variants.
Yeah, this is just generic. This is the Doctor, like Enterprise D Picard, or like Commander Kirk. This is just a Doctor. It doesn't specify which particular version of it is.
Yeah, they got a lot more specific as time went on. That's why we don't have a specific version of Captain Archer, for example.
His arena quote is house call. And of course, the fine folks at Memory Alpha have a page dedicated to house calls. So there are several episodes where he mentions it, Lifeline being the big one, that he's making a house call to Louis Zimmerman. So you can look that up. Extreme Risk, Latent Images, and a few. Dude, they got Memory Alpha pages for everything.
They've got a Memory Alpha page for a tricycle. I'm not even joking, they really have.
No, I believe you. So what you're saying is I should try and retrieve this crew that I can't actually retrieve because his combos are too generic.
Yeah, you can't 100% retrieve them.
Yeah, he's got overlap with Virtuoso Doctor, I believe. Right. And there's your segue!
That's a win-win. Hold on, we're just going to skip over Mobile Doc?
Yes.
No.
All right. How many of you guys have Cheesecake 7? 1 star or 5?
Me. Anyway.
Finished, yes.
Yeah?
Yep, finished.
Still excellent.
All right. And the only other thing I can say about him is the heavy purple shading on the left side. Is that poised to make a comeback like Warship Janeway?
Yeah, give me those different shades.
Or are we sticking with the blue?
It's exactly the same kind of shading as the 2-star variant has. It's very strong. They kind of moved away from the purple and blue over to more of a orange and green as time went on, I feel like.
So, you were saying this was the centerpiece of the show. But he's really not.
There's not much to say, have you?
He's very generic.
Did someone say Technobabble al Fresco?
Did someone say Technobabble al Fresco?
Technobabble al Fresco. Here we go. Perfection is a laudable goal, but you can't expect it from others. I learned that lesson when I was first activated. One of the ways I adapted was to pursue interests people could identify with. Holophotography, for example. Opera. 7 Has anyone ever told you you have a beautiful voice? It's a true gift. Let's try something a little more challenging. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. Someone to Watch Over Me, Season 5, Episode 21. But you knew that.
Okay, penultimate card we have on this list, if I can find it in this list.
Actually, I tell you what, let's skip ahead a little bit.
All right, go on.
Because I have to shave my head before I go to bed, and it's late here, so let's talk about Virtuoso Doc, and then Marto and I are going to tag team his episode, so. And then you guys talk.
You started the bit!
I was checking to see if there's a shocking and disappointing lack of flavor text among dock variants. I think mobile is the only one who's added so far.
Thank you, Mikey123, for following.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as a card, there's not a ton here. He kind of hits everything a little bit. Like his voyage numbers aren't good, but he has a little bit of med. Gauntlet is interesting because he has a good med or a good dip roll, and he has a few trio 45% gauntlets. He's also got 2 collections with a little bit room for more. This almost looks stars like a crew that you would trade because he has musician, physician, desperate, inspiring, so a hologram. So he's definitely got enough outside of the Human Federation Serve League bubble that he could benefit from WRG's collection expansion.
I appreciate that you said a crew that I would trade, i.e. accurately.
Well, he is a prisoner metaphysically of his programming. So.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all prisoners at heart? I'm a prisoner of your love, Otto. That's the only thing I'm guilty of.
All right, so we'll run down the episode a little bit, Marto, but I know you watched it recently. So his card is from basically the last or like second last scene where I don't want to recap the whole thing. Basically, he's told that he's been made redundant by a superior program. So instead of being the efficient, modulating singer that he could be, he decides to pour his heart and soul into this love song. So talk to me about that scene, Marto, and this art in particular.
All right, way to put me on the spot.
Hey man, you said you watched it, so.
The card I don't have, so I can't talk about it. Honestly, the episode and the scene, the scene ends. That's his last performance, and one of the redeeming scenes of that episode, if I may be foreboding my thoughts about it, is Janeway shedding a tear when he sings that particular piece. And that was brilliant. That ended a bad episode in a great way, in my opinion. But the card I don't have, so I have no idea.
Hold on. So you think is that you don't like his episode, huh?
I don't. I think it's weak.
Okay, we're gonna have
Timeline showdown.
Because I love this episode. So
no.
It doesn't know. It doesn't know where it sits. It tries to be a light episode, trying to be funny at most of the points, but then this measure of a man scene comes up, and it just pales in comparison. They're trying to talk about rights of the Doctor, but it's one short scene that doesn't lead anywhere. So that became super heavy all of a sudden. So it was like a sudden break in the episode. And then I don't know if you want to talk about the episode right now, but the other thing I didn't like is that I said earlier that the Doctor is one of the 3 main characters of the show, and we all know he's not going to leave. Everybody that watches TV knows he's not going to leave. So there's absolutely zero suspense here, and that wasn't believable at all. That's one point.
So, in general, you're correct, but they did jettison Neelix before they ended the series, and you have to think they're not going to kill off main characters, but having him leave the ship on his own terms is like sort of a softer exit, so it's a little more believable at least than him being killed or something like that. So.
The thing I could have seen them doing is they had previously established in Living Witness that he has a backup module. They could have just brought him back like they did in the Swarm when he lost someone's memory, and then that would be kind of a death and exit, so you have to go back to an earlier Doc who maybe doesn't have all the same memories. That would have been a potential way to do it if they wanted to commit to it, but I think Marto is right. No one actually believed he was going to leave the ship. But
there was nothing at stake. There was nothing at stake.
That's the thing. I definitely think there is a compromise to be made there in terms of 90s TV has a very certain way that it works. It's very rare that you're going to have sudden crew exits halfway through a series. That being said, I often find that, for me, it's not the suspense of whether or not they're actually going to leave. It's the long-term relationship effect that it's going to have. They were considering leaving at all, which on a ship as close-knit as Voyager is almost as impactful as them leaving. Because for him to leave, and it's a recurrent theme throughout the episode that he feels undervalued and like he isn't appreciated for his actual talent. And him voicing that and the damage that he does to his relationship with Janeway by getting way too high off his own ego, that's almost as impactful to his relationship and the dynamics on the ship as if he were going to leave. So that's kind of how I always kind of reconcile that cognitive dissonance in my head.
All right, before we go down this train any further, Idle, we paid for the intro. We got to hit the intro for the episode recap.
Oh, we do, yes. Let's do that.
Paid for it.
We did. We paid a lot of money for this. Okay, find the button. Where's the button gone? There it is.
In a world where Latinum is king, 3 men, 1 desire, to share stories that are beyond belief. But what happens when the absurd becomes real? An airlocked in Glatu, appearing in crew quarters, failed voyages, reviving themselves. A behold, with 3 Lucians, seeing Dilemma Part 3 at hour 6. These and other unbelievable stories that you'll only find here on Timelines Talks episode recap.
So yes, we're here talking about the Virtuoso Doctor episode of Star Trek Voyager. So please...
I've never seen that episode. Tell me about it.
So please take us through step by step. No, yes.
I realized that his name is probably pronounced Lucian, right? Not Lucian.
Lucian.
The TAS devil
Lucifer,
guy.
Lucian.
I've never seen the episode, so I went with Lucian instead of Lucian.
Is it like Wreck-It Ralph, where it's like, thanks, Satan? It's Satan.
Mrs. Bouquet.
Yes, Hyacinth, yes.
All right. So, if you have the slideshow ready, click, let's start on the first one.
Let me do that. 1 second.
I'll run down the scene, and when you guys have something to jump in, just talk louder than me. So,
click.
The episode opens up, they have Doc has some patients in sick bay from a stranded ship, and they're talking down to... I included the Netflix subtitles for most of these because they kind of describe the scene pretty well. The Komar race they've just met are talking down to them as this inferior substandard species, and Janeway comes in to try to meet the guests and be diplomatic, and they talk down to her too. They're like, we're not used to dealing with inferior species. So Janeway rolls her eyes and leaves the room. And Doc, as he's doing scans and checking them out to make sure they're okay, he starts singing to them, humming, and then become instantly fascinated because they've never heard music on their planet. So fade to black, and the next scene comes up with Doc singing Someone's in the Kitchen with Dinah. Because, of course, in the 2300s, that's the first song that's in Doc's repertoire. So he's singing to them. They become infatuated. What is this unique mathematical waveform variation? Like, they treat it like it's a formula instead of an artistic expression. So he introduces them in music, and he agrees to put on a recital. So in the next scene, he sings some classical music, and then I had to get this picture. He introduces Harry Kim and the Kim Tones, which is like the official family band of Voyager.
You've got to say click, click, so I know when to swap these.
Oh, sorry.
on there.
We're on screen 3 right now.
Yeah.
Click, click. Harry Kim and the Kim Tones. So they go up on stage. Doc sings, and all the Komar are suitably impressed with this new thing called music. So Kim goes up there. They start playing jazz. And the Komar, being the assholes they are, they're like, this sucks. We want to see the doctor. Yes, we will. So Doc goes, all right, pick up the tempo. He jumps up there. He starts singing, again, like a 500-year-old song from their perspective, because that's like at the top of their musical list. He starts singing, and they applaud him wildly, dislodging the germs from their hands. They're clapping so hard. And so they make their way to the Komar Planetary Alliance home system. Sorry, click, click. And they introduce music to these people. And so they're so enthralled by this point, they agree to construct an auditorium so that Doc can beam down and sing more music to them. And they're all aflutter at his great musical talent. And they have an existing auditorium. And Doc says, no, this is no good for the acoustics. They need to raise the height. They need to change the dimensions of the room. And B'Elanna goes, you really think they're going to do all this just to appeal to their vanity, or to your vanity? And he goes, it's not vanity, it's my artistic expression. And he goes, the floors need to be higher. Otherwise, they won't hear it right. And B'Elanna, the line on the screen says, oh, you're right. If they keep the dimensions as is, the light coming off the screen off the top of their head could blind you. So she's very acerbic in this episode, which I think is great. Click, click. The Pagliacci outfit mentioned by Marto. Talk me through this image on screen, because he looks hilarious.
Is this not Ashes? This is Ashes to Ashes Bowie clown.
Yes, the Pierrot clone, who was the main villain of Ashes to Ashes season 1, I believe. Yeah. Blowing up that car.
So, I'll try to find the name of the exact aria, but there is that piece in Pagliacci that just brings a tear to everybody's eyes. It's just amazing, and that was the lead up to it. Talking about doing the backdrop, then showing up in a costume, but not actually doing the piece itself was just a letdown. It was difficult.
What's the piece called?
Let me find it. It's just in Italian. I can't remember off the top of my head. If
this was a French aria, he would have had it ready to
go. Yeah. Someone... Vesti la Giuba. Thank you, Shai. Yeah, that's it.
Who knows it?
Yeah.
Noted opera fan, Shai.
So after the stream, if you never heard that piece, just Google it, find it. It's probably one of the best pieces of opera ever written. It's just amazing. And it's funny that they set this up and you're waiting for it, and nope, you're not going to get it.
Opera fan just throwing things at the screen now. It's like, come on!
Insert advertisement here. That in the 90s.
But they play now. That's what I call music 93 at some point, don't they?
Kids Bop.
Yeah.
The Hansons in there. That's
so click, click. They go back to the ship, and by now the Komar have elected him as leader of their people. He's like the ultimate Uber celebrity, and they line up out the door to get autographs from him, and he says they devoted an entire hollow processing plant to create miniature singing versions of him to hand out to everyone who stands in line to wait for him.
I would love one of those. I really would.
Yeah. It's like how many holograms? You have data of Tasha Yar, and you have Doc as himself, and that's like it in all of Star Trek. All right, so I grabbed a quote from the scene, because the line is out the door, and Janeway is a little bit peeved at him because, well, as Shai says in chat, he throws out the series growth he's had to this point because his ego is so stroked that he is like, he's the man for once, and, oh, they don't appreciate my talents, as he says often throughout the episode. So this scene between Janeway and EMH, she says, you've been neglecting your duties. And he goes, oh, come now, Catherine. It's not as though there's been a flood of medical emergencies. She says, I wasn't aware we were on a first-name basis. I meant Captain, I'm sorry. Oh, that's perfectly all right, Doctor. Or do you prefer Maestro? And he smiles and says, oh, please, either is acceptable. So his head is like a Goodyear blimp balloon at this point, and he thinks he's the crap. So click, click. He does report, as Janeway asks, to do his duties. And he finds in sickbay that 2 young, attractive Komar ladies are waiting for him because they want to see their idol. So he asks Paris, what's the nature of their medical emergencies? And he says, apparently these 2 young ladies became dizzy and disoriented while waiting in line to see you. So they essentially mob him, and they ask him, you know, because this is a mathematically based species, they ask him all sorts of, how many digits can you calculate pi? Like, that's what turns them on. Have you ever balanced simultaneous equations? And so these girls are hitting on him. He doesn't know what to do. He deactivates himself until they leave the room. Click, click. In the next scene, he beams down to Tinku, the young lady who is... Which, by the way, Tinku is the worst name for an alien of all time.
Tim who?
Tin Can or something.
Yeah. Tin Man.
Yeah. And so she's been kind of like flirting with him. She's impressed with his musical ability. So she gives him the sales pitch to stay on the Komar planet. And she says, what is it? By any mathematical standard... the medical care of 150 people can't compare to enriching millions of lives. So she's really appealing to his ego and says, you know, you could be a superstar if you stay with me. She implies that she's in love with him. She calls him stimulating, and so Doc thinks that he's got, you know, a fish on the hook, so to speak. Click, click. Here's El Marto's unearned holographic rights scene where he goes to Janeway and he says, all right, I am resigning. I want to go live with the Komar because they appreciate me like no one else has. And this turns into a rights issue. He says, if this were Harry Kim telling me, asking to leave the ship, you would let him go, but you don't see me as a person. You see me as a piece of technology, and that's why you won't let me go. And of course, he's so far up his own butt at this point. Janeway asks him, well, what about when their tastes change and you're not the flavor of the month? And he says, what makes you think that's going to happen? So she finally grants him his request, and she says, all right, if you want to go, you can go. Click, click. So Doc makes his rounds to everyone. He goes back to the sick bay and tells Paris, you know, here's what you need to know to be a medic. I'm leaving now. And Paris goes, Doc, you're not really leaving, are you? And you know, sheepishly says yes. He goes to the cargo bay to visit 7 of 9. And she is very frosty with him. She said, I put a little quote here. She says, you simply crave attention, applause, fan mail. And Doc says, well, what if I do? Those things are irrelevant. Doc says, to you maybe, but not to me. It makes me feel appreciated, even loved. Not for what I've been programmed to do, but for who I've become. So he thinks
you were also missing out one of my favorite scenes from this episode, actually, which is earlier on in the episode. 7 believes that they're being attacked by some form of electronic warfare, and it's just a constant stream of all the Doc's fan mail.
Yeah, we'll circle around to that at the end, but it is good. She plays it very straight in this episode. So yeah, she's ticked at him. She says, you know, our friendship is over. It's going to be hard to maintain if you're millions of light years away and we never see each other. Click, click. So Doc has said his farewells. He beams down back to his girlfriend, Tinku. She asks him to beam down. She says she has exciting new news. She's created a new hologram to sing her mathematical compositions. And this guy, if we ever get this variant, that'd be good. He's as cocky as Doc is. and bred to sing music. So Doc deactivates the Komar version of himself. And he realizes that he may have been misled a little bit. He says, Tinku, music is more than mathematics. I'm much more than a program with musical subroutines. All my experience, all my passion goes into every note that I sing. When you listen to me, when my singing moves you, you're not just hearing notes, you're hearing my artistry and my soul. She says, I've duplicated that too. Doc says, I thought you wanted me. She said, I did, but now I've developed a far more sophisticated piece of technology.
I've heard a lot of women say that about their wives and husbands, but
So he realizes he can't measure up. Click, click. So he beams back or transports back to Voyager, and he's now desperate at this point to become an even better singer than the one that Tinku programmed. So he calls B'Elanna in, and he wants her to delete his entire medical database so that he can sing an octave higher. I don't know why that needs so much storage in his memory, but it does.
I've got a plug-in for that. It's about 4K big, it's fine.
So B'Elanna's giving him attitude, but eventually she cuts to the heart of matter, and she says, look, Doc, I don't know anything about this woman or why she doesn't appreciate you, and I'm not an expert on music, but I'm a pretty good engineer. I can expand your musical subroutines all you like. I can even reprogram you to be a whistling teapot. But if I do that, you won't be you anymore. So that's like the moment when Doc finally gets perspective again. He realizes that he was put on this planet, put in this universe to practice medicine and be there for his friends, not to be a singer. So instead of reprogramming himself to perform Tinku's performance, click, click, he beams back down and puts on a farewell performance. He's going to stay with Voyager after all. So this is where the Virtuoso Doctor variant comes from. He sings a song about lost love, and it is so moving. And like Marto said, Janeway's moved to tears at the end. And the Komar give this like very polite golf clap applause at the end. And then they activate the Komar new hologram on the block that sings this like absurd, he's doing like 3 octave jumps back and forth. It's supposed to be a great mathematical composition. And then the Komar wildly applause because music to them is math. It's not an expression of their artistry. Click, click. Doc goes back to the ship. He meets Janeway in her ready room. And he requests to be reinstated, and this is a great line by her. She says, so you've taken off your tails and put them between your legs. And she says, you know, you hurt a lot of people with this little stunt. And he says, I know. But she lets him off the hook and says, I'm glad you're back. Click, click. So in the very final scene, he's back in sickbay doing his job. And Seven comes in and hands him a pad and says, I have something for you. He says, what is it? Fan mail. He says, delete it. I don't want to read another word. She says, then I'll read it for you. So she grabs the pad and says, Dear Doctor, I regret that your last performance was not as successful as you'd hoped. There's still those who appreciate your unique talents and admire you as an individual. I'll always consider myself your loyal fan. And this is like the end of Willy Wonka, where he grabs a gobstopper and says, so shines a good deed in a dark world. And he asks, who's the fan mail from? And she says, it's signed 7 of 9 tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01. So she's forgiven him, and we've erased the last 42 minutes of episode, and all is right again. No one's permanently offended, and we're all a family again. So that is episode in brief, I guess.
Wonderfully recapped.
Now, here's the thing. You say it gets all erased. I could see them bringing this back in some format. I could see a follow-up on this where we see the Komar and you just get a random Doc doing some techno rave stuff with his mouth, and there's like, oh god, turn it off. And there's this deep house.
Just playing like a
grunge.
We could definitely get the Komar version of Doc with the wrinkled forehead and the blue like hospital gown that he's wearing.
I could definitely see that.
Did you see a hint of meta? That's the buzzword these days. of meta comment in this episode about fans of Star Trek in general. Because you see the table, it's the same thing as a convention. Another element for me was Kim and the Kim tones. No, we don't want to see Kim. We want to see the Doctor. Right?
Yeah, definitely kind of pandering to the people that sort of expect what they expect from an episode, and I see where you're going from with that. Yeah,
and lastly, this may be a stretch, but fans of Star Trek have many of fans of Star Trek have focused on the technical aspects, just like the aliens of the planet. A lot of fans would say, that ship is X meters long, or that particular replicator can do megawatts of, I don't know, those technobabble stuff. A lot of fans focus on this, and that's what the people on the planet were focusing on. I don't know.
I hadn't considered that. That's actually a pretty good. Yeah, I think if that is I think that's maybe not intentional. I don't know if this was intended as meta commentary on Star Trek fans. They're usually a bit more direct about that. I think this is meant to be more of a overarching thing about fame, but I do think that maybe they were telling on themselves, and I think that commentary you're pointing out is absolutely appropriate. And maybe there was a degree of the writers going, yeah, no, it's not about the technical details, which we sometimes get wrong. It's about the soul of the episode. And then they proceed to write an episode, which, as you say, gets immediately erased.
Pearson Trip Fan Chat says Picardo mentioned that at the time. So,
really?
I'd consider that before. If I think of it later this week, I'll see if I can dig something up about that. It's possible, but they also do so much with the essence of Doc. Like, is he photons and force fields, or does he have a soul? I feel like it slips so seamlessly into the rest of his arc as a character that it could go either way.
I think that episode, I think you're right by saying that it's sort of very sort of hollow, this episode, playing by sort of how it was undone by the end. But but the better one was the author episode, where it came into where he was actually talking about rights as a hologram. I think that one actually, was it that one, the one where where they were talking to Starfleet and actually
it takes a hard left turn into a bit about holographic author rights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and sort of had justifying him as a person or not. And I think that sort of handled this subject a little bit better than, say, this one, which was more very personal story to the Doc about how he fucked up as a performer and got so much up his ass that maybe he shouldn't have. And it was kind of I don't know, playing into Picardo's strengths as a musician, but not so much as the Doctor's character as a person. Well, maybe
he's also, though, it points through the show. His ego gets so big, like the character's ego gets so big. This could definitely be seen as a dam-breaking moment. Like, he finally had to be
There
knocked
are
down
multiple characters I can think of who are dead because of the Doctor's ego, actually speaking. No, I'm completely serious. Like, you remember the whole Hirogen holograms that go renegade, and then the Doc is like, oh, I sympathize with your plight, and they end up killing an entire ship's worth of, like, organic people to rescue worker drones that don't have a single bit of intelligence. It's
this credit against Chakotay moment. Yeah, where you sympathize with the bad guys.
The Doctor's ego and his need to be validated can sometimes have an actual body count. And this does kind of play into that tendency. No one died here, thankfully, but yeah.
But that's a great point, Marto. I've got to look that up this week and see if Bob Picardo did mention that at the time, because I'd never considered that angle before.
Yeah, no,
I watched it. I watched it last night when I saw that table scene. Yeah. I had to go back to start the episode again, but. I watched it last night, like I said, and I can't remember if Chakotay has a single line.
Yeah, because
welcome to Timelines Talks.
They try to give all the main cast like one or two lines in the episode.
1 or 2.
So I think he and Harris both have like one line when they're in the mess hall and they talk about the Komar or something.
It's like. Sorry, dropping stuff on my desk. It's like the scenes from The Simpsons when you've got like grown-up Maggie and she goes to say a line, she's like, and then someone overcuts her. That's Chakotay in that episode. Sorry. I think...
I think this episode is decent, but I do think it is hurt by being part of Voyager's less heavily serialized,
Yeah.
way more, like
Yeah, 'cause it's never
individualistic.
addressed
Because I feel
again.
because like I said, I think you can mitigate the fact that we know that the Doctor's never going to leave if you depict the long-term emotional ramifications that this will have on his relationships. But Voyager never really did that.
The one thing it does do
It did
is
it in
does...
broad strokes,
Yeah.
but not actual responding to a problem that you have made.
Yeah. The one small bit of serialization that it does do, and it does do well, is the setup of Seven and the Doctor's continued friendship, and how she feels like when he takes her for granted in this episode, very much so, and she's and her developing as a human herself, sort of very much reacts well to it by the end by forgiving him. So I think that's of the plus point of the episode is their relationship and how that evolves, which is one of the best relationships in Star Trek, in my opinion. The Doctor and Seven is an absolutely fantastic. I love that. I love any story with those two in it.
I don't know. I'm okay with it, but it's that's a conversation for maybe another stream. But yeah, it is something
that's a conversation for Sevenuary.
By the way, did you know the episode that Stars talked about earlier, Blink of an Eye? It directly precedes Virtuoso.
Oh, does it really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's the one before it. And
Man, Doc
I
goes
watched
through
it
a
last
lot.
night as well.
In a very short space of time.
Well, that's what happens when the writers decide they want to write for you. You suddenly get all the
So
episodes.
for me, it was this really good episode followed by what I think is a weak one.
Not enough opera.
Not enough opera deployed well, I think, is what.
And on that note, I think we will call it a night there because we've been going for over 2 hours now. Well, nearly about 2 hours. So, thank you, Mark, for joining us this week.
Did someone say Technobabble al Fresco?
Wait for it. I'm gonna end on the on the last Technobabble al Fresco, but we'll end on that. Yes, thank you very much, Mark, for joining us this week. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Speed Racer Doc from Blink of an Eye. That's what you ought to call him.
Thank you for
have
having
those
me.
ridiculous beveled bicycle helmets.
But yes, thank you. Thank you, Auto,
It was fun.
for...
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for coming. Thank you, Auto, for doing your best Picardo impression. It has been distracting. I have not looked you in the eye once. I've just been looking at the top.
Yeah, no, it's really hard right now.
Thank you very much.
I hope you guys appreciate the commitment to this.
It's certainly something that happened.
Well, next time it's Stars' turn, so there you go.
This hair ain't coming off this body until I die.
At least do the Worf ponytail then.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
There was a bald joke in the episode, by the way. Did you get it?
Oh yeah, the glare.
The glare off the top of your head.
No, Stars, you need to do the Worf Buffon. You need to do the kind of the shoulder length.
The Martha Stewart look, I think what Michael Jordan called it. No, I ain't doing that. I'd still apply it with them at the CFC that would require.
I'm doing the Kirk Point. Don't forget next week.
Oh no, we are not. Next week we will have our Timelines Talks awards show, which we're very excited for. So don your suits and we'll roll out the red carpet and we will have ourselves an event. And after that event, we will obviously catch up on all the weeks that we have missed of the show. But we will be celebrating the last year of Timelines as well as our community suggestions as well. So please come back for that. But from myself, from Auto, from Stars, from Mart, and from Robert Picardo, I will leave you with the final Technobabble al Fresco.
Technobabble al Fresco. Here we go. Stand back. He's been seized by the Ponfar. A neurochemical imbalance is driving him to mate. We won't be able to reason with him. Tuvok, I understand. You are a Vulcan man. You have just gone without for 7 years about. Paris, please find a way to load a hypospray. I will give you the sign. Just aim for his behind. Hormones are raging. Synapses blazing. It's all so very illogical. 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 Tinker Tenor Doctor Spy, Season 6, Episode 4. But you really knew that.